Sow those nips and dig, Alf.
These roots block our path.
Then rip them out. Rip the whole stinking tree down.
Felling a tree will slow our progress. We shall go around.
Try it, Elf, and I will make a mess of your batch.
Look how big and empty the parking lot is, huh? What do you say you get behind the wheel?
Let's make this kitty purr.
Well, go ahead, try a turn. Tina, why are you groaning? You're doing fine. Tina, relax. Easy. Okay. Tina, you're kind of headed toward the only other tree in the lot. You have plenty of time to turn, Tina, so just go ahead. Turn one way or the other. You're just swerving back and forth. Turn one way and stick with it, Tina. Tina, for the love of God! Turn away or stop! The brakes, Tina, on the left! You're about to hit that tree! The brakes! Hit the brakes! Oh my God, it's bad.
I ruined the car.
You did. You really did.
Think only tree.
That's a broom.
For Middle Earth.
That's a cheap broom.
A stick, a broom.
We have reason to suspect a passing brigand, but we've yet to identify him. We're fortunate we didn't lose the rest of the ships as well.
We still have 3 ships.
How many ships?
What?
How many?
Ha! 3 ships.
I'll go play that back.
Yeah.
How many ships?
Doesn't add up, does it?
Well, it's more than 3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the number. That's the number of the day. 8.
I don't do math.
8 minus 2 equals 6. 8 minus 2 equals 6.
You idiot.
Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about
Sword.
We've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second?
Swords.
Think I could get 2?
Oh, there's 2 of them. Well, Ellie, there's 1 of me.
Don't plant roots. Keep moving.
There is 2 of us.
I'm all the Jedi.
Release the wand.
Meow?
Sauron has returned.
I pledge my loyalty to Sauron.
Wait, you're not him?
What a plot twist! You're Sauron, are you not?
I'm not. You're not?
No, I'm not.
Oh, that's a plot twist.
I'll serve you then.
But your loyalty is beyond question.
You know, Disa, there is no secret worth concealing with deception.
Calling a dwarf dishonest in her own home. It's a recipe for strong gravy.
Nice gravy.
It's made with elves, I think.
Soylent Green is made out of
elves.
Soylent Green is hell.
In a world of remakes and remasters, what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame. Gone are the days of pops and cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now, it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hey, hello, welcome back to the show. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain about nerdy things. We call the show Best Gen because we all happen to we're all roughly from the same generation, happen to think it's the best, but not because we were better as people, but because the entertainment was so much better when oh man. We got a lot to talk about this week. Rings of Power finally had some action, if that's what you could call it. We're talking Rings of Power, episode 6.
Yes.
There's more She-Hulk, there's more Andor, there's more House of the Dragon, and we've got a special guest with us today, the Angry Mexa. Let's give it up for him.
What's up, guys?
Yay!
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. So David, actually, we're also joined by my brother David and other Jared. Corwin might be joining us tonight too, but his schedule is crazy. We all know that. David found your channel and sent it to me, and I went and watched everything, all of your videos.
So I gotta thank you, bro. Thanks for sharing the channel.
Yeah, no problem. You did good stuff. I watched your videos. I'm like, this is like just the same stuff that my brother's doing, and so you got to check this guy out.
It's a very similar theme
and channel name. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually found your channel.
Might get along, maybe.
I actually found your channel as well by chance. Just I was scrolling down for Rings of Power content, and I saw the Void of Logic, title, and I was like, yeah, indeed. Yeah, the Rings of Power is the Void of Logic, of all logic.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, I also made a video on making fun of She-Hulk, and then I watched one of your videos, and it's the same video. Like parallel thinking, we made the exact same video of She-Hulk complaining about a bunch of things, and then I just did a supercut of all of the hardships in the MCU before She-Hulk and all the things that they've had to do, and it's the exact same video.
My mind went to the same place. It's just that we actually saw all the Hulk movies as children, so
Yeah.
they hit different, they impact in the same way. So I'm like, bro, that's such a cool coincidence, bro. I was just wondering what to do for my first video, and I watched that clip from She-Hulk, from
Was that your
saying
first one?
that. Yeah, that was my first video,
Yeah.
the one with the Hulk, Bruce Banner, my hero, because that guy was my hero growing up. Coming from a rough place, a violent home, you might say. That guy made you feel strong. That guy made you feel like that rage that was within you, you could control it and make it use it for good or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I was so angry about that saying that I've gone through mansplaining and catcalling. I was like,
Yeah.
shut
Well,
up.
I couldn't. I'm very excited that you're here. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Why did you start YouTube? Because your channel is like two months old.
Well,
It's pretty
yeah,
new.
it's been like
You're already
for real,
almost at 400 subscribers, which is it's super impressive. You have one video that's at like 30,000 views.
Thank you, man. I've been working my ass off. Well, to be honest,
I'm jealous. I've been doing this for a
yeah.
year and a half, and I got monetized this week. So
well, at least thank God you got monetized, bro.
Yeah, no, it feels great.
The work is finally going to fruition, right? Yeah, it started because I always loved YouTube. It's where I spend most of my day watching YouTube videos, and I always respected YouTubers, especially Critical Drinker, Neurotic, and all these guys that really make entertainment, bad entertainment, enjoyable. And I happen to really like watching bad media and laughing the hell out about it.
Yeah, no, it is quite bad right now. I wish it were good. I wish we could talk about good stuff, and there are a couple good things to talk about. There's House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about the bad first. I also quickly want to shout out Jacob Ironside in the chat. He's started doing big long form live streams talking about deep dive subjects, and they're really good. So give his channel some love too. But also go subscribe to the Angry Mexa. So and we got our first super chat.
Thanks.
Oh wow!
We can make money now. Don't spend money on me, guys. Okay, because he can. Thanks for that. It's unnecessary. But let's talk about Rings of Power, guys.
Literally just finished the episode like 15-20 minutes ago.
You're fresh.
So yeah, since you're the freshest, why don't you give us our thoughts first?
Well, and I'm probably unique too, and I'm the one that's the least prone to be like just tearing it apart and negative. It's just more of the same, honestly. Like there was some more action this episode, which was better than the other action that has kind of been in there, but that's really not saying much. They really were going for their TV-14 rating with the extra blood and gore that they kind of had in there, which was it was kind of interesting to see. Okay, there was some plans there with the Orcs and the Adar or whatever, but it was still just a lot of the same. Yeah, I loved how Galadriel basically tells him, you can't win with vengeance. Like vengeance isn't gonna
gosh,
you with
don't
it.
stop.
And then
Stop.
immediately like then right afterwards.
First off, what you're referring to, that one scene, that was the first time that they gave a metaphor in the show that was actually good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't quench your thirst with salt water. Like all the other metaphors have been complete nonsense. This is the first one that was competent. The problem was it was coming from Galadriel,
who has been guzzling seawater her whole life,
is described by the show writers as filled with piss and vinegar.
Did they really describe her like
Yes,
that?
yes. In an interview, they said Galadriel's a strong female character, and she's filled with piss and vinegar.
Wow.
I mean, that's not inaccurate. I mean, at least the piss and vinegar part.
Like none of that whole conversation at the end of the episode. We're skipping a little bit to the very end of the episode, right? That conversation was horrible. They're like both of them flip-flopped their positions and like, oh, I want revenge now, and you don't want revenge. And why was she giving him advice? Because then the scene after that, she starts torturing Adar and says, "I'm straight up gonna do a genocide on you."
Yep.
Yeah.
So what? Like these the writers have no idea what they're trying to do. And we got another super chat from Mark Clark to stop. Don't give me money.
And I will say, from somebody who wants to look at a positive side of it, I think that there is an aspect of she's never been under great control. That was a moment where she had some clarity of control, stopped him, and then she's in there talking to him, and he does kind of goad her a little bit, so she loses control, and he stops her. Okay, they don't do a good job of presenting that, of actually getting a good flow of the story, though. That's where the real problem is. As somebody who seeks for the positive, I can see some of those pieces in there, but it regularly comes down to they're not actually making the connection between these things. They're not showing an actual arc. They're showing like plot points and saying you have to draw a line, but that's either going to be a jagged line or it's going to be a nice curved line that's not going to actually hit those bullet points that they hit. So, yeah.
My guess is that they probably thought of the twist first.
Oh yeah,
and obviously,
then obviously, yes.
Just writing the story backwards.
We've been saying this the whole time. They are writing the story backwards. They know the things that they want to do, and they're filling it in.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is sometimes you can do that, but you need to do like several more passes to really smooth those sorts of things out because, it doesn't end up looking very good at all. Yeah.
I always wonder, like, why didn't they ever show Galadriel actually, I don't know, training or fighting something, a tree or something? Like, and in the battle, well, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh, it's okay.
Just to say that we never see her doing anything, and then she goes to the battle and she's everything, and everyone is scared of her, and everyone avoids her like the plague.
Every single time she meets a new character, they go, "Oh, Galadriel, the commander of the Northern Armies, the scourge of the Orcs." Even though the Numenorians have shut themselves off from elves entirely, and they wouldn't know who she is, they know who she is.
Yeah.
Which is dumb because the whole have you read Silmarillion? No? Okay. I might get a little spoilery here, but in the books, there is a very real reason why Numenor cuts themselves off from the elves. It's spoilers. It's because they want to achieve eternal life. Ooh. They want to become immortal like the elves, and they're trying to keep it a secret from them. They end up doing some bad stuff to in that pursuit. But that's why no elves are allowed on Numenor. But they don't give you the reason in the show, and instead it's because racism, I guess. Even though they're going to have to use that plot point eventually. They're jealous of the
That's actually a pretty interesting, plot point, and that it's a shame that they haven't explored that. Like, it's right there in the Silmarillion. Why aren't they using it? And it's so interesting. Like, obviously someone will try to be immortal like the elves and will try to imitate this eternal being, like we sometimes try to imitate God, or sometimes try to be as good as a god.
No, that's exactly what the Numenor is. It's they are trying to become gods, and they get punished because of it.
Holy moly! I gotta read those books, man, but I'm not much of a reader.
Don't start with the Silmarillion. Don't.
The Hobbit's the right one to start with. Start with the Hobbit and see if you can get through the trilogy.
Oh man.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark Clark. I don't even know what membership does. Like, do I have to do like extra stuff and only release it to members? I don't know.
I think basically they like pay subscription to you, and you know,
That's
Patreon-ish,
cool.
so you could give them stuff, but you don't promise anything, you know.
That's interesting. Yes, the Elven language was also
That's
banned
cool.
in Numenor because of envy. Yeah,
Mm.
but they took our gerbs. It's just one elf. And everyone knows they're sending her away immediately, but apparently she's there to take their jobs because they don't have to sleep.
And like honestly, it could make sense to me that maybe some of the Numenorians might know Galadriel because they didn't used to, and she's freaking old because you know thousands of years old or whatever.
Right.
But then they like first they look at her and they're like, "Who the heck are you? Why are you here? Get out of here!" And then some people are like, "Oh, it's Galadriel," or like they're telling stories of Galadriel, but they don't recognize it's. They're just all over the place because it's like they could recognize her, but they're not consistent with some of them recognize her, some of them don't care, some of them do. You're like, wait, what? Yeah.
There's a scene in episode 3 where Habran is in jail.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if that's episode 3 or 4, but there's like a giant statue of something that looks like Galadriel, and I was wondering, is that Galadriel? Because she has
I don't know
the same stone face, just like the actual Galadriel. And I was like,
wooden
perhaps that's
acting.
Galadriel.
You're getting about the same emotion out of the statue as
and
Galadriel.
And they had, the little puppet play with Galadriel, and I was like, that puppet was a better actor.
The same day that she arrived, they have a puppet made out of her, right?
Yeah, it's like the play that they're doing is like Galadriel is this awesome. She's this bane of all the orcs. She's did such a good job.
Completely doesn't track with Numenorians are racist against elves.
They're racist. And or the fact that they're like, oh, this elf just showed up that looks suspiciously like this Galadriel we would have known before or at least heard about, but we hate her because she's here, but we think Galadriel's cool, but we hate her. What?
I was still wondering how in the hell did she got any help from the Numenorians? Like, aren't they supposed to be like elf lovers, anti-elf lovers? And how did they got so many volunteers? Even they were not commanded by anyone; they were volunteers.
Even if you do buy the fact that she convinced the Queen Regent and everything, they're like, all right, we're not going to command anybody to go, but who's going to go with us? All these same people
volunteers.
Like, we're going to take our germs.
Yeah.
Which also they should already have an army. They don't need volunteers.
It's not like they have this plan behind the scenes, like to destroy the elf. The only guy that has like a plan behind the scenes and tries to be like this Larry's figure, like this spy figure is the governor. What's the
Farazan.
So we talked about this last week. We talked about
the
Farazan,
bearded guy. Yeah,
and I was right. And
great beard.
You tried to correct me, Jared. When we were talking about Farazan and his son blowing up the boats.
Okay.
You were saying that his son was working against him, against his wishes to try and to try and stop the invasion. But right after the boat blows up, it cuts to Farazan talking with the Queen Regent. And he says, maybe we are being too hasty. Maybe this is a sign that we should delay the invasion, which completely contradicts the entire scene that he had, the conversation that he had with his son. So it was his plan. He did send his son. They're working together. His son is working for him to blow up the boats. But it doesn't make sense.
I always thought that was the Isildur's sister. I don't know her name. Like, she's so useless. The only thing she does is like use her her love to convince this guy to blow up the.
They also don't explain why she feels that way. Like, she doesn't have a good reason for not wanting them to go to war, other than her dad and brother would be involved.
Yeah.
But there's never a scene where she says, "Oh, I'm worried for what's going to happen." She just they don't give her any motivation other than I'm going to college.
We get nothing out of her face most of her scenes, so we don't really know what she is feeling. We are like, are you feeling angry about the elf? Are you feeling angry about the MAGA whatever, the MAGA show or something? I mean, And that allegory keeps bugging me to this day. Like they were not subtle at all. They were like, "Oh, we just have to get Trump in the
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, it's pretty
show."
ridiculous.
And you probably don't even know this, but Tolkien infamously hated allegory. The introduction, he has an introduction to the Fellowship of the Ring. It's like 10 pages long, where he keeps ranting about, people keep asking me if I wrote this story to be an analogous to anything. It's not. I just wrote the story because it's fun and I wanted to create mythology. So stop asking me if it's supposed to represent like World War II or my experience.
Yeah, no, I
it's
mean,
not. It's just a story.
the book is complex enough just about, just with the story itself, to be focusing on allegory about anything else.
And of course they put in allegory because Trump is bad.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about the actual we haven't even talked about the actual episode yet, though.
But before we get into the specifics of how terrible all the action sequence was, I do want to give a small shout out, because in the last 2 episodes, there have been a couple lines of dialogue that actually felt like Tolkien. And I feel like with how bad this is, we need to shout out when they do it right.
Where's some positivity? Yeah.
So in this episode, I think Bronwyn's words to Theo was a really good. I don't remember exactly, but she was talking about fighting the darkness and stuff.
She said something. I have it right there. She said, "In the end, this shadow is but a small and passing thing."
Oh, yeah, that was a good
line.
Was
nice.
That was good. And then the previous episode, because I wasn't here last week to talk about it, but that bit about the Eye of Hope. They said that the Eye of Hope is the last, or the first thing to open and the last to close. I thought that was very, very well done.
Yeah, who said it? Erendil.
I think it was Erondir. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was him.
The tiny amounts of good bits feel like accidents.
Exactly. So, but most of it is really, really terrible. Like last week in the episode.
We didn't even, David, you weren't here. We didn't get to talk about the song.
No. Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So speaking of the song,
I am a musician. Okay. I'm a mediocre musician, but I'm a really good lyricist. That's my specialty. Okay.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I hated the song so much.
Yeah. I'm also a musician, so that's nice, bro. But my specialty is not lyrics.
I think I can see another collab coming up soon.
Yeah, let's go.
So the song itself, I don't think was too bad, but it did not make sense in the context of who was singing it. You have this whole thing about not all who wonder or wander are lost. Okay, that's fine. That's a fine sentiment, but it's coming from the Harfoots, who specifically say no one should wander off the trail. Oh, and also there was a scene previously where Nori was saying, I wonder what else is out there. And he says, no, don't wonder. Don't do that. So why would they have a folk song about wondering and wandering when that is strictly forbidden in their
antithetical
culture?
To their philosophy. Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. But they changed everyone. I got a bunch of angry comments saying that line's actually from Tolkien. No, it's not. The Tolkien line is not all who wander are lost. And in this show, they took that line and they butchered it because they added in wonder. Not all who wonder or wander are lost. And it makes the sentence complete nonsense. It's alliteration for alliteration's sake because they think it sounds cool.
They're trying to
they couldn't possibly think of another way to make the line fit the cadence of the song because they are amateurs.
Yeah,
they're trying to get away with fair use, bro.
The way that it's what it does to the lyrics of it, the wonder and wander. Because people who are wondering, sometimes you think that it's because they're lost.
Dumb. It's dumb.
It works for me, but I do see what you're saying about how there's like we got to find some way to make this fit the lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate the lyrics, but it's dumb that it doesn't fit with the Harfoot theology.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense.
Anyways, sorry. There's a bunch of comments. Did you want to keep
talking about the song?
Yeah, Galadriel was supposed to be a sage politician, a political opponent of Anatar and his reformist ideas. Her thing was she was a philosopher, she was a politician, and she could sway people. And in this show, she's literally the opposite of that.
Yep. And that would be really cool to see a cool, strong-willed character that's that queen, political figure. That would be awesome. But
I wouldn't mind if they want to give it some, action scenes to Galadriel, but please just plan them correctly. Given a good choreography, put some thought into them. Get an actress that actually can perform action.
Yep.
Actress that actually can hold a sword properly. Give her sword fight training. Do something, but the thing they gave us is so amateurish. It's almost like they are just, like you said, illiteracy just for the sake of illiteracy, just desecration for the sake of desecration.
Yep.
David, do you remember that sword fighting class that we took? It was the lightsaber training thing.
Oh,
at Taekwondo.
Yeah, it was part of.
We took like a sword fighting class. What was the first, literally lesson number 1?
I don't remember. That was so long ago.
You're not trying to hit each other's swords. You're trying to hit each other.
Right.
That's the first thing.
Yeah. And that's all they do is they aim for each other's
because
swords.
It's natural. When a kid picks up, when you have two kids who pick up 2 swords, you want to just go like this. and you're aiming for the sword because it's fun.
As a kid, that's what you see out of sword play, is that you see that they're hitting each other's swords, but it's because they're actually blocking each other, not because they're aiming for swords. Yeah.
In that entire fight scene, again, we're not even talking about episode 6. In episode 5, the entire fight scene, there is not a single moment where one person is trying to hit Galadriel.
Yeah. They're aiming for nothing.
I played the whole thing in slow-mo back and forth. There's not a single moment where they're aiming for her.
Oh, bro. Editing to that shit was, I'm sorry. Editing to that was so painful. Like doing that whole Mexican Galadriel beat, was so painful.
Yes, that was a good video. That was a good video.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we gotta play one of your
Lord
videos.
Because that was painful to do, thank the God.
Yeah, that one was good, but your best video here, let's share it right now. Your best one is number 2. The border crossing Galadriel.
This one's so good.
Okay, can you guys hear this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The audio is like super quiet, and I can't get it to turn up for some reason. But here we go.
State your name. Immigrant.
Galadriel de la Santísima Trinidad de María, Carmen Juanita Pérez López Sánchez, hija de mi madre, de mi pinche padre.
Juan. And why did you come to America?
We come to visit so primos. We come here to chambear, aunque sea limpiando, para hacer un poco de varo. Mi prima ya se vino y me dijo que era bien fácil pasar.
They took your job! And you have your papers?
No paper, but we have some ricos tamalitos. Si quieren y si no, chingan a su madre.
They took your job!
Sorry, patroncita, but they told us in Mexico that Biden was letting everyone in, but instead I can give you my tamales.
Pero gordo.
Cállate, vieja. All of my tamales. No pay, free.
All of your tamales?
No, mis tamalitos.
That's a deal then.
I was laughing for like 10 minutes straight.
Same here.
Bro, I was like,
well done. Well done.
Thank you.
It's genius. It's brilliant.
I was like, what should be funny? Because that scene's so... the dialogue is so makes you hate Galadriel so much.
Yes.
It just makes you hate her so bad. I don't know why they keep putting this dialogue with her and the Queen Regent. Like they think that those are the girl power moments of the show, but no, they just come out of 2 rigid robots fighting to each other for who is the best, who has the biggest ego in the room. And it's just like Galadriel with the whole thing about the Tempest. I don't understand how she gave her an army. Like, she should.
No, yeah, everyone's calling her Galadriel, but I don't even think that that's genuine, because if she was a male character, she would be dead. She would have been executed a long time ago for her sheer insubordinance.
I mean, she would not be. She would not be spanking a man in the rear end. You know.
Yeah,
That was if you switch the genders, that scene makes no sense. And my girlfriend was like, no, that always happens when a boy is teaching a woman. And I was like, but maybe in the 20th century, but if you do that today, that makes no sense. And I went through YouTube looking for a scene that was like that, and well, the only one that comes somewhere close to that was the Mask of the Sorrow.
Yeah, I was exactly that scene.
But there was no spanking in the bomb.
I mean, but she was asking for it. I mean, did you see how she was dressed?
Shut up, bro.
Exactly.
No, that's the whole point of the scene, though. Is that they are very clearly flirting with each other.
They were flirting with each other. But there's another scene in a movie that was supposed to be like the feminist Snow White. It's called Mirror Mirror.
Oh,
and there's a scene
there were two
where
of them that came out at the same time.
There's a scene with where a dwarf is spanking the main character. It's like that movie is from 2012 or 2011.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. They did that. I was like, but it's okay because it was a little person, so it's okay. It's not a white man. It's not a white privileged man. Doing the spanking. That'd be wrong. But a little man.
No, it's just so like they just go out of the way to emasculate all the men too, and just
yeah.
Okay,
but
so
let's get into
so the episode, episode 6, with 40 minutes in.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize.
So they have 3 boats, and they are tiny boats, but somehow they fit 300 soldiers and 300 horses.
Dude, like physics do not apply to this world.
It's okay because it's been explained on Twitter. Someone figured it out.
There we go. That's what it is.
There's a high-speed turbo engine inside, and so there is room. There is room inside if you have enough layers. You can.
Wondering,
in fact, they didn't have enough people. They should have had more in there.
Where's the nuclear reactor?
Right?
That was lacking because to carry that amount of people and horses, you need 2 nuclear.
They're also wearing their full armor on the open sea. And what happens if you fall out? There's storms.
The editing was so bizarre too, because it was they made it look like they were happening in parallel, but once again they're like, oh, we've got to sail a whole day up the river before we can then disembark, and then we're charging across the land again in our full armor. And you thought that she wore down her elf soldiers when she was just pushing them. These are humans that she's doing this with, and they're charging, and they just charged all the way through from wherever they were to the village there, and it just happened to all go all at once.
The fact that they know where to go doesn't make sense. The only information that they had came from Halbrand, and it's like 2 months old. And we've seen no evidence that linked Halbrand to
the village.
To like the Southlands are big, guys.
Yeah.
He's not related to Bronwyn in any way. He was like from a different group of people. Well, because he's
different village at least.
But they don't even know him. They don't even know him.
They just show up, and if you look at a map, it doesn't make it makes even less sense. Let me pull. I forgot to bring up a map of Middle Earth.
Don't worry, can Google that shit.
While you're bringing that up, the other thing that I thought was hilarious was the whole I'm looking to see the first break of land or whatever. It's like, oh, it'll be visible to your eyes shortly, and then as they have their conversation, it's there where it's like, you should have already seen it.
Yes, while they're having the conversation, it's right there.
And then you hear somebody call, "Oh, we've sighted land," and then they go down and tell the queen, "We're like they've spotted land." Whereas they probably would have told her that Galadriel has spotted the land because she saw it a couple of hours ago, and that's good enough to be able to say, "Hey, let's get something going on there." And then the next level of like, it was already there.
There wasn't even like an edit to imply passage of time, like they'd been talking for a long time, and then they just sat and looked.
That's the biggest problem.
It's during their 2-second conversation, it pans out, and there's a giant mountain in the background that he couldn't see.
But he ends up watching the sunrise, where there's no land, but there's land over here to the left, but there's no what? Yeah.
Okay. So you've got right here. You've got Numenor, right? And right here, you've got all of the Southlands. And the closest place that they could, show up. Here, let's make this real fancy, right? They could get like right here with their boats, okay?
Mm-hmm. They insinuated that they'd be able to sail up the river a little ways further than that, but
did they say that?
Yeah,
they said something about like, oh, it's like
so
a
the
day's,
river comes
whatever,
up this way.
They will sail up to there probably, and then
this right here and that's still pushing is an impassable mountain range. Okay, this is impassable. Let's zoom in a little bit. The only way through here is through Minas Morgul, where Shelob is, and you have to climb those giant stairs. Okay. So maybe they got a little bit up the river, but if your boat is big enough to fit 100 people and 100 horses, which it clearly wasn't, but if it was, you wouldn't be able to get very far up the river. But you can't come this way. You can't ride horses over these mountains. You have to go all the way around and through the area where the Black Gate will be eventually. So they have to go all the way around to get to Mount Doom. It's insane.
Yep.
It makes no sense. Now that you
and
put it
they
like
do
that,
it in less than a day. They show up at dawn. Oh, I guess it took them a day, right? Because it's showing them show up. The boats show up at dawn, and then there's a night, and they show up. So they get there in one day.
Once again, I think that if you were to try to ask them about it, they'd be like, "Oh no, it took them whatever time." But they're like, "But you edited it so poorly to make it seem like they were happening at the same time. It was that same day that they disembarked." And
it feels like there were a lot of missing scenes, from the show.
Right. Sure. That's the thing.
You can definitely tell that there was
that's why
the editing room floor.
No, I made the video about how the editing sucked, but
I had no idea.
Great. I had no idea because every time you look, while you spend time editing these videos, you look closely at every scene, and there's almost on every scene a continuation error, and it's insane. Like is there no communication between departments? Like, is no one making
there's no quality control going on.
Yeah, and the director is like, "Nah, it'll be fine." nah, it's all right.
They assume that their audience is stupid. A perfect example of this is from this episode. The opening scene starts with Adar doing his little ritual thing. He plants some seeds, covers it up, and then says with one line of dialogue, life in
new life
in defiance of death. Which, for the first time ever, I actually thought the show did a good job. I was like, wow, that was subtle storytelling. They were doing show don't tell, and with one line of dialogue, I understood exactly what was going on. It was good world building for like 1 second, because it wordlessly, well, with a couple of words, but with very few words, it gave you an interesting bit of world building that told you more about the character and the world and their attitudes. That it's this ancient custom where we're going to kill a bunch of people, and so we want to preserve life. It was interesting. And then halfway through the episode, they spend 10 minutes explaining it to you because Arondir has to explain it to Bronwyn. And I was like, are you kidding me? You finally did something good and then ruined it.
I would argue that all the other scenes are decent.
He's good.
He's a
good actor.
The guy is a great actor. The guy is carried the whole show. Whenever he cries, whenever he cries, I'm like, looking closely, at the edge of my seat.
His performance is good, and I really like Elendil, even though the dialogue that they're giving him is awful. His performance is fantastic.
He's doing a great job. He really cares about the show. He really cares about his craft. But my God, the dialogue they give him is like,
it's so bad.
Oh my God. Let's talk about the scene. Let's talk about that scene because it's
Which
crazy.
One? Oh,
the dialogue he has with Galadriel when Galadriel asks him how did his mother die?
She was drowned because the sea is always right?
Yes. Yeah, that was literally my first thought. It's like she's drowned because the sea is always right.
Like
she must have been a bee,
the dumbest, cheesiest piece of dialogue just to make it feel profound. He said something like, "I look into the east, and the sun comes out, but now I see into the west."
That line doesn't make any sense.
I was like, that was
does he only ever sail one direction? Like if he's on he has to go back and forth between his island, right?
Flashbacks
he's not always going to be facing east.
To the scene at the beginning of the show when the brother of Galadriel is talking about the rock sinks
his wife has to look down.
Look down. Yep.
And then
if she just looked up, she wouldn't have drowned.
Yeah.
She was trying to touch that darkness.
I did like what he got to with that idea of even though this is a sunrise, it feels like a sunset because that's again, it's a little overt, but it's got that, maybe it's a little overt, but it's, hey, okay, cool. We're seeing the fact that this is the beginning of a darkness that's happening or whatever. But yeah, that was a little bit weird and wonky.
It makes no sense.
There's a lot of comments saying something that I agree totally with.
And what if he sails north or south?
Adar is the most compelling character of the show, completely.
So the thing that I get a little confused with Adar is, so I guess he's one of the original Uruk-hai, or before the Uruk-hai, but
he's not an Uruk-hai. He's an Uruk, and you like how they had to say that? That's our word. Like, don't call me an orc, right? Like,
but it was weird.
Please use my proper pronouns.
I was struggling a little bit with the fact that it's like, so why are we making him empathetic? Because he has been very empathetic, and you've set that up, but again.
No, I loved and he actually says to Galadriel, like, you are worse than me.
Yes.
Yes.
The show has done nothing to say the opposite.
But to speak to the idea of like, okay, Tolkien, he was big on not allegory necessary, and he really wanted to give a whole big thing about the bad and the good versus evil, right?
Right.
And Adar is some sort of an in-between, and now they've got Galadriel being some sort of an in-between. It's kind of like there's some potential interesting storytelling there, very un-Tolkien-ish, but okay, could be some interesting storytelling if they actually had some good, made it feel like we weren't, like we should be recognizing the Galadriel.
Rooting for Adar to win.
Yeah. It's just been very confusing and weird. I don't know.
Like,
I'm also not as big of a Tolkien reader of all the other additional stuff, so maybe I'm missing stuff, but I was very confused with that.
Yeah.
So
this guy. Sorry. Yeah. Continue.
No, you go ahead first.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Well, I actually like the reveal that he was, one of the first Uruk, because in Tolkien lore the
orcs were created
from
elves.
Were corrupted elves, as you.
Right.
He should look a lot different, though. He should look like an elf.
But I did like that reveal. If it's one of the first ones, it makes
I'll let him have
more
that
sense.
Yeah. But that I didn't necessarily mind. It was just the like, is he bad? He killed Sauron?
Yeah.
He's good. He's the good guy. He killed Sauron.
His motivations are a little bit strange, but I did like the reveal. because at first when I saw him, I'm like, he doesn't look like an elf. Elves are supposed to have smooth features and look ageless. And he's got all these scars and wrinkles. I'm like, that's not an elf. Well, okay, he's not an elf. He's an Uruk. I like that. But yeah, his motivations are a little bit confused right now. So
yeah, he killed Sauron. He doesn't like Sauron, but he's trying to do exactly what Sauron had set up.
Trying to do,
but Sauron doesn't want to do that anymore for some reason. So let's talk about Halbrand's.
My suspicion is that
like,
it's probably going to be Sauron has been pulling the strings all along, and he tricked Adar into doing that so that he'll.
You're wrong. Sauron. No. What they're trying to do. Well, if this episode wasn't obvious enough, like it's very clear that Halbrand is Sauron because he has the conversation with Dar, like, do you remember me? Like, you don't know what he did to me, and then he says, "Oh, I killed Sauron." Like, it's obviously him. That's not what they're going for. They're going for Sauron is actually trying to turn a new leaf. He's trying to put it past. He's trying to turn into a good guy, and something's going to happen here. Galadriel's maybe going to like spurn his love and find out that it's Sauron, and she's not going to be able to see past her racism, and that's going to turn him into Sauron.
Oh, that's going to be terrible.
Come on. What else could they be doing?
Well, I was hoping.
That's perfectly. I really hope that's not what they're doing.
It's obviously what they're doing.
It's either. You're right, Alan. I think it's either that or he's not really Sauron. They're setting him up to be the Witch King of Agmar, which I think would be a cool reveal. But even then, like,
be better than
right. I don't think
Sauron trying to break good and failing.
He's 100% Sauron. Yeah. But his motivation, like the things that he does in this episode, is just like
the reason that I actually the other thing that leans to him being Sauron, but that doesn't necessarily fit into your theory is when they do say, "Oh, all hail, the king" or whatever, and him saying, "Yes, I am the king that you were promised." To me, that feels like the evil Sauron being like, "Yeah, exactly. Now I'm actually being the king that I was supposed to be, and I am taking the power, even though I made you think that I didn't want it."
Yeah.
So he had a little bit of that smirk that made me think he has succeeded in his plan of tricking them.
Or I think that was him realizing, hey, I didn't need to be evil to get what I wanted. Him thinking like, oh, I got it. But
Zane's got a good theory right there in the.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Galadriel is Sauron. Yeah, that would honestly make a lot of sense.
And the brother's dagger. You mean the dagger? Yeah, that could be. I was wondering if they were basically unleashing a tomb where Sauron was and somehow bringing him back to life with that key thing.
It opens a dam that's randomly there.
So the dagger, the sword, the blood sword, which Adar told us previously, this is an ancient weapon of evil that was designed to fulfill Sauron's evil purposes, and it has the capability of binding the people of Sauron's will, binding the people of the Southlands to Sauron's will. Turns out it turns a dam on and off.
Yep.
And it was Adar who dug the tunnel to the volcano to set it off. So it had nothing to do with Sauron's plan. It was literally just a gate key.
It was. Well, I don't remember him saying that was the tool for. Well, I guess he did say that. Yeah,
he did. He says this. It was crafted by Sauron to enslave the people.
They also said it was a key at one point too.
Yeah, they said earlier that it was a key.
They mentioned it was a key as well, but
yes, it does make sense that Adar wants to create Mordor in order to be a safe place for the orcs to dwell without the sun and everything.
David, did you notice in the scene where they said it's a key and they said to what? They were standing directly in front of what it was a key to, and they didn't have to look down. Yes.
Yeah. I actually didn't mind though the fact that okay, so you have Adar apparently has this plan where he's setting off the volcano. I actually kind of like that fact that there's the reveal as to what's going on with the trench, what they're really doing there, and what they're going for. I actually thought that again it leans to the idea that Adar is probably the most interesting character and actually seems to have something going on. They have his story fleshed out better. I don't know.
But if we want to get into the science of that.
Water and lava doesn't make boom boom.
Okay.
It makes lava rock.
I was going to say
it depends, I guess. they had these articles ready before the episode even dropped. That yes, technically it's scientifically that like some of them published before the episode came out.
Really?
Yes, it's what the Mount Doom erupting is scientifically possible. Like they reached out and said, "Hey, we did a stupid. Please explain this."
They were thinking, we have Twitter chilled for a week when we have,
And technically they are correct, but it doesn't work with what they showed. So water can set off eruptions. Oh, Screen Rat's here. Oh yeah, a scientist confirms it. That means it's true. So it's actually called. This guy's an idiot. This is what it's called. It's it's a type of eruption that can be triggered by water. And where's the diagram? Basically,
but it's pressure buildup though, right?
It's a bunch of things all together. So what has to happen is there has to be a very narrow opening, and the lava has to be built up with a lot of pressure, and the top of it is cooled. Now what happens is if water seeps into the cooled magma, it will absorb the water and then evaporate and explode. Because it gets so hot, it evaporates so fast, it'll basically pop the top off the soda bottle, right? And then the volcano will erupt. But they didn't show us that. They showed water pouring down into just an empty cave with a little bit of magma on the bottom. Do you know what that would have done? It would have sealed the volcano. It would have created more magma. There would have been a lot of steam. It would have created a lot of smoke. Yep. It wouldn't have erupted. It probably would have delayed the volcano from erupting for another 1,000 years.
Yeah. I was curious about that too, and I looked for it, and there was actually like a study made in a college. I don't know the name of the university, but they made that experiment, pouring water into molten lava. But they did it with a lot of lava. There was a lot of.
This is what it has to look like.
Yeah.
It has to be. There has to be tons of pressure already built up, and you just pop the cap off because water gets absorbed into the magma.
Yeah. So what was the result of that scientific experiment in the college study?
Let's just say it happened the same way it would happen with if you had, a boiling pot of oil and you drop water, a little bit of water, it will blow up and just create a lot of fire and smoke. But it has to be a great amount of lava to a small amount of water, and that's why it makes that reaction. Like you said, it evaporates the water, so the lava just propels into the air, and it didn't seem it felt almost like they were cheap about the animation, and they were not bothered to animate more lava, and they were
which is funny because this is clearly where they spent all of their money. Like, it looked really cool.
No, they spend all of the money in the horses. There's a lot of horses.
The horses are all copy and pasted. They have about 5 horses.
No, but there's a lot of horse action. They spend all the money on the horse choreographer, and there's a guy, an expert with ponies and horses dancing around making the horses dance around and do these Galadriel action scenes, which are the dumbest and the easiest action scenes that I've seen. Like, I will try to find a friend that makes that is an expert with horses and horse riding or whatever, and tell me that's basically the easiest trick in the book.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Rings of Powers, Morford Clark credits incredible horses for episode 6 stunt.
Yeah, tell you, they probably pay the horses more than they pay Galadriel.
I was going to say that the horses did do some great stunt work.
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
Horses are expensive, bro. Horses are expensive, bro.
But that scene in particular is so stupid.
Talk about it, bro, because I need to.
Flips upside down and hits an orc with her sword.
Yep.
The entire benefit of having cavalry is you can mow down the enemy without exerting your own personal force, because you can use the force generated by the horse. You can run through a line and just basically hold out your sword and you chop people's heads off, right? Which is the opposite of what she does here. Huh?
They did have a scene where they did that.
No. Oh, or not with Galadriel.
Not with Galadriel. Yeah, there was
a scene where they did. Yes, there was a scene where some of them did that. But Galadriel flips upside down, points her sword away from the orc. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so you have orc right here. It's not gonna. Okay, it's hard to demonstrate in without real space. She points the sword away from the orc, waits till she's ridden past it, and then flicks the sword behind the orc.
Yeah,
and the orc just explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not only would she no longer have any of the horse's momentum, she has negative momentum. Okay, imagine this: you're on a swing and you have a baseball. Okay, if you're swinging you're swinging forward, and then right when you come to the bottom, you throw the ball. It's going to go twice as fast, right? Because it's going to have the momentum and your throw. It's going to go extra fast. Now imagine you're on a swing and you go like this, and then you're coming back down and you throw the ball. It's going to stay in place.
Or go half as far as it normally would if you were just standing.
Because you have two opposite. You're throwing it one way, and the force is throwing it the other way. Now imagine that swing has the power of a horse. Your ball's going backwards.
Yeah.
And on top of that, she probably wouldn't have even had time to hit the orc with her sword because she's going so fast, like the way she did it.
It makes no sense why they didn't do it like the first way you said it. Just in the same way.
Use the force that you've generated with your horse.
Exactly. You are already going that way. Why don't you swing that way? Why do you have to pass the orc and then swing backwards
and hit it from behind?
I missed that, missing it, like passing it and hitting it from behind. To me, I think she dodged and went off the side, and it looked cool that she swung and hit something. But I missed the specifics of that.
And then she does the exact same move again, but doesn't kill an orc. She just jumps off her horse for just duck.
That scene with the wrong swinging way. It's just a callback for the other scene, the only other fighting scene in the show with the giant troll, the snow troll.
Oh yeah,
she does the same thing. She flies all the way forward
when she runs up the sword,
and then she
swings the opposite direction.
She rolls and then she swings the opposite direction with no strength. Like you're gonna harm your own elbow doing that. With any kind of force or strength.
Elves have extra strength that we don't.
Maybe they have extra leaps.
Running up the sword and jumping is that so you could use your momentum and weight.
They have flexible limbs, They have a flexible elbow, and they can bend their elbows all the other way. Apparently,
double jointed elbows or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know why people were comparing that to the scenes with Legolas and all those crazy CGI Legolas scenes that were so creative and so cool in the movies, in the actual movies. And
there were a couple of those that went a little bit over the top.
When he swung himself up on the horse and then he flung himself the other way, that was a little bit physics defying. But
he was using the horse's momentum to do it, not not going in the opposite direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we can forget about it. I mean, those scenes at least were creative. I mean, with the elves, we could forget a little bit about physics, and I don't really care if Galadriel. I mean, it's still like human, like stronger humans, like a stronger version of a human. The ultimate
and more nimble, right?
Very
dexterous.
And I mean, and everyone
some of the nuances of that. I just saw it as a little bit of like, oh, cool, she did a cool flippy thing on a horse, and it looked cool. So it worked for me as well as anything. in terms of the being like a Legolas sort of thing. But I definitely see what you're saying.
Take
like,
a closer look
that's
at it,
bad.
though. It was absolutely unnecessary.
I mean, those scenes where the stunt was so dull and so uncreative and so like something, and they did it twice, not twice, 3 times, because Halbrand did something similar with the spear. That was
okay. When Halbrand doesn't know, it's even worse.
No.
So. And you could see exactly what they were doing. You know that they didn't want to show a horse getting hurt on screen.
Yeah.
They even have a shot where it stands back up. So like, look, we're nice. We would never kill a horse. Like, it's a war movie, guys. If he wanted to do that, Halbrand needed to spear the horse and then bring it down. That's the only way it could have worked. But instead,
other end down to the ground.
He sticks it out like he's sticking his leg out to trip someone in a slapstick comedy, and the horse trips over his spear. His spear would have shattered, and the horse wouldn't have even noticed.
I think their legs are a little bit more. I mean, they're stronger. Not. They're strong, but they're not. That would have hurt him. He would have tripped. For sure.
No, I promise you, the horse wouldn't have even noticed.
No, the horse would have tripped. It would have ripped Halbrand off of his horse, though. That's what would have happened.
Definitely.
Like the horse would have tripped. Halbrand would have been ripped off as well. Because you're right. You need to brace it in the ground for it to not be working against you. But
he didn't. He didn't like. He did. Yeah. It maybe could have worked if he like shoved it into the ground. But even then, like the spear would shatter. It might make the horse like stumble, but it wouldn't even fall down.
No.
Like that's not how those horses are, like very and with the force that he was traveling, like he would have been able to recover. It's like running down
real big horses.
With you there. I have
horses.
Yeah, I've ridden a good amount of horses. I've got grandparents that have cattle ranch with lots of horses. They're more susceptible to that than you would think. Again, there's still a lot of other problems with that, but I think that the horse would have tripped.
But in full gallop, I know you
so.
Can spook a horse and you can get it to fall down and stuff like that, but not when it's in
full gallop and everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, imagine if somebody stuck a broom out in front of you as you're running.
I'm not as heavy as a horse.
Yeah, but.
And horses pick up their legs like a lot more than.
I mean, I would argue that you could do that if you were not like doing that pose from another horse.
From upside down. Upside down.
He didn't have any leverage.
He had zero.
In full, there's still your arm are full extension with
there's
no.
Still plenty
of
problems with that. You're absolutely right. But yeah, I think
maybe you had like the arm of Dwayne Johnson,
me,
The Rock. Maybe Dwayne Johnson will be able to do it with.
For me, it's more of the
he
should have been ripped off of that horse as well.
Yeah.
And his arm would be shattered.
Maybe she will fly away. Maybe the horse will trip a little bit or stumble.
If he wanted to exert enough force to be able to do it, his arm would be shattered.
No.
Totally.
That's the reality where his arm would have been shattered. He'd have been torn off the horse.
Also, how on earth did he catch up to them?
That's my point.
But show up in front, going the opposite direction.
They had a head start, and then he's all of a sudden.
And they were riding in a straight line,
running the other direction.
But the reality is it's because he's Sauron. But
Numenorian horses are able to teleport, bro. That's the thing with
and Galadriel was even using a magic spell to make her horse go faster.
Or magic connection with horse to make it go faster.
Yeah,
I bet he went through one of the tunnels because he knew
tunnel.
He went through the tunnel and then came out.
No, it's just because he's Sauron, so he was able to magic himself ahead or something. But what was also kind of funny was he she's right behind Adar, right, on his horse, and then Halbrand comes in, trips the horse, and they go down. And we have time for the horse to stand up, and you have time for him to get off Halbrand to get off his horse and be like, "Do you remember who I am?" And so and
Galadriel's not even there.
Galadriel's not there, and we're like, until he's like, "Oh, stop!" Like the weirdest editing and blocking of that timing. You're just like,
she was right behind him.
As soon as he shows up and you see him coming, at them from the other side. And he gets set up to do his thing. You don't see Galadriel for the next 5 minutes of in-universe time, basically. And you're like, you rode past a second, and you turn immediately around, and you're right there.
the CGI horse was mind-boggling. Like the fact that they couldn't get the same color of the horse. Like I did a review and I was looking editing that part and I was wondering,
When they trip it, it's
yeah,
a
when they
different color.
trip it, the horse that trips literally it's darker than the horse that stands up. The horse is like a reddish
Oh.
brownish color, and the horse that trips and the horse that like is convulsing in the floor is like a darker brown, like almost black horse, and it made no sense. I was like, this is clearly CGI once, and second, that how couldn't they get the color right? Like look at I will look for the scene so I can show you, but oh my,
it's cheap.
You
The
should
the
when
show
you edit
looks
that
cheap.
you should superimpose with the Wizard of Oz. Oh, that's a horse with a different color. It's all changing colors, turning green and whatever.
Thanks for that.
Just a horse of a different color, you know.
Oh gosh. Oh, and we completely skipped over the entire fight that happens before this with Adar, and
at
how
the watchtower,
the defensive
or the first
watchtower was apparently rigged to just explode if you cut one rope.
I could mostly believe that they had
What
done a
what
lot of work
happens
to set that
if
up.
you're defending the tower and someone hits the rope with an arrow?
I think that they laid the idea that they had taken the time during the previous day or two to weaken it and rig it up so that it would
That makes no sense.
Oh, it's because they were laying the trap, so they set it up for the trap. They weakened it.
No, but they
to
also
be
had
that
time
for the trap.
So
to
they
run
messed,
away and forge a sword. Did you notice that?
but they messed with the structure
Yeah,
of the
they would, yeah.
building, and they were able to tuck it together with a couple of metal pieces and wood
It's
and a rope.
nonsense.
The one that
and a
really
CGI
threw me
rope.
off. Yeah,
Also-
the one that really threw me off was when at one point when the tower's coming down, there's a little piece that like breaks, and I think that it's supposed to have come in and impaled an orc.
Impaled
But the
an
way
orc.
that
Just break it like spring loads. It's like it flings
Yeah.
and
But
stabs
the
an orc.
editing there was so weird because you also
Impales
like
an
you
orc.
have the background where the thing stabs the orc in the background, but there's like an orc in front of it that looks like it catches a piece of it and then keeps going. You're like, wait, what was that? That I watched that 2 or 3 times and be like, what is
Also,
going on with that?
If you
bit?
remember, the last episode ended with the people stuck in the tower, and Adar had a giant army of orcs with their torches ready just outside the tower. Then
Yes.
this episode starts. They knock on the gates, and
They just
everyone
casually
inside the
walk
tower
in.
is gone. And they end up behind Adar's army.
Exactly. Yeah.
How?
Yep. They teleport behind them, and I actually
The whole point was that they were stuck there.
Again,
Yeah.
the terrible editing of the fact that this must be the next night, but that makes no
No.
sense. It doesn't track because they were right outside. Why did they wait an entire rest of that night and then a whole day before they knocked
And we
on the door? and came in?
specifically mentioned on well, I didn't because I wasn't there, but you mentioned that they weren't they said our options are either to surrender or to fight, and you said no, there's another option, we could leave.
Yeah.
But the presumption was, oh, they're boxed in, they can't leave, but somehow they all escape and make it past the orcs,
Yeah,
and collapse the tower on them,
and decide
and then
to give
not
up
only
their
that,
very defensible position
exactly,
to go to some straw huts.
yes. And they have a line there that says, we have more of an advantage now with our new position. I'm like, more of an advantage than your defendable watchtower?
Well, David, you're forgetting
made of
that
stone?
that tower was rigged to explode, so they didn't want to stay at the tower. Like, if they were defending
That's
it
true.
and someone
That's
hit
true.
one of the
That's
ropes,
fair.
they would have killed everyone inside that tower.
Yeah.
So it was a much better position, the two houses.
Yeah, and the trap they set up is just nonsense. Like
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
They
Fire
have
on both sides
they
of
have
them.
two burning carts,
Yeah.
and the orcs escape it by kicking over a stool and
That was the
walking
worst
out of the ring of fire.
barricade ever. Like I haven't seen anything like that. Like
Mhm.
I've seen those scenes with the flaming, car,
You're trapped in the
going,
yeah.
yeah, the flaming trap where they push a little car uh with oil or whatever. First of all, the amount of oil they use, it's really they burn like fire pits, and they use like a tiny amount of oil. They're like, nah,
Yep.
we gotta save this. We gotta save this oil for the winter. Winter's coming. No.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's pretty
Well,
ridiculous.
and then I guess the bait and switch of the fact that most of those were actually humans, but there were some orcs in there. But like we were just fighting our own. But these
the
were the
first
ones that
wide
betrayed
shot
you.
they show
So
you, it's very clearly orcs.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they and then they zoom in. It was us. Like, what did they expect?
Well,
You
and
know
also,
that
again-
your people left you to go
Yeah.
bow to Adar.
But
Right.
it's
So
funny
even-
because they act
even if
like
you didn't
orcs in the
want to
wide
be-
shot, they
Yeah.
jump around like orcs, and you are supposed to believe they probably did the orcs tell these humans, oh, you gotta act
Pretend to be
like
an orky.
us. Yeah, we tried to act
Probably
orky.
because see here's the reason
How
that it
the
bugs
hell?
me is the like, okay, these were your people, but they left you. They
was
ditched you to
supposed- it
go
was-
side with these people, so
and
they
the
were attacking
music-
you too. So even
the
though you might
music
be a little
cuts
bit
in
sad that it
like
turns
it's this
out to
huge reveal.
even though it's a little bit sad, it's like, oh, this was my neighbor. Yeah, but it was your neighbor who left you and tried to attack you just now. So don't be really that sad about the fact that you ended up killing your neighbor. Like,
so stupid. It was
Yeah.
so
Al-
dumb.
Also, it was very nice and convenient for the orcs to stop attacking while they could tend to their wounded.
Yeah, yep.
They gave him like 5 minutes to, patch Bronwyn up and
and then at that point they stop trying to kill everybody and they just take everybody captive. And there's a little bit of the like, I know Adar wants to get the sword, so he needs Arondir, but like he's the only one you need to leave alive, probably, or maybe one or two of them. But they should have busted in there and started killing a bunch of other people, and then been like, those ones are the ones that we're not supposed to kill.
Ooh, that's a good one. Frankie Valli's "Walk Like a Man." The four
Like
seasons.
an
Yeah.
Uruk-hai.
Walk like an Uruk. That'd be a really hard edit. That's like 3 extra syllables for the.
No, or unless you're going with walk like an Egyptian.
Yeah, that's what I ended up
has the
singing because
right-
I was trying to make
that
it
has the
fit.
right
Walk
amount of
like an
syllables.
Uruk-hai. Yeah, that could work.
Walk
That could
like
work.
an Uruk-hai. Yeah. Also, did you notice that the newly promoted lieutenant did the
bad at his job?
stab? No, he did the specific stab, twist, gut maneuver that he.
Oh,
was-
really?
So,
Which is a bad. That's not an instant kill. That will leave your enemy on the battlefield to do more damage.
And
Yeah.
he
You
didn't
can
even
survive.
got
A gut wound, like in the old days, it was a death sentence. But because you would die from infection a week
Not because
later,
you were- yeah.
yeah.
because
But
there
that's
was no
not-
good way of cleaning it and sewing up the wound, but you would be alive the whole time.
Let's not talk about infection, please, because the fact that Bronwyn survived that wound. Let's get into
The
it.
way that
please.
they cauterized it was so stupid. Did you notice she actually
random
gets shot
piece of
by
wood.
2 arrows?
Yeah,
And they forget
Oh my
about
God.
the second one.
dude.
I didn't see the
Watch
second
watch
one.
my
She gets
review of
shot
that
twice.
episode.
Second hit.
And then
Watch
they
my
go into the
review of that
tavern and she's
episode.
only got
I'm
one.
like, oh my
And
god.
they cauterized her wound
With just a raw piece of wood.
with
With
a
a piece of wood is being gentle. Like that was a twig.
It's going
that
to
was a
leave
twig
a
of
whole
wood,
bunch of
like a burning
ash
twig.
and oh my gosh! Everyone knows you use metal.
Why did they use? They have weapons. Why didn't they use
They
a
had a
heated
forge.
weapon? You know.
It showed a shot of them in the middle of the night. They had time to forge swords. They could have just thrown something else in the bellows and cauterized it. Also,
Or oil,
in that
or
same
no, I
scene,
don't
they're
know.
like, "Okay, when you pull it out, you got to put pressure on the wound." And then they do it,
And then
and
they
then
don't.
no one puts pressure on the wounds, and she's
He
bleeding out
starts-
for like 2 minutes.
Dude,
Yep.
the amount of blood that comes out, of
It's
her
so
body,
much.
it's too much. And the weird thing, like when she gets the arrow all like halfway through her body, half the arrow is through her body, and it's like, but she's not bleeding, she's not bleeding out. She's all right. She's doing okay. she even says, "Oh, help the other guy," and the other guy is already dead. He's gone. He's gone.
Yep.
And but then they have the brilliant idea or break
pull
the
it
head
out.
of the arrow, and then obviously you have to pull it carefully. You have to be gentle when you pull it. This guy is just now gonna just
get
pull it
stuck
back.
or something, I guess, which was kind of weird.
Just pull it in one pull, and he's not gentle at all, so she starts bleeding out, and so he made it so much worse. Like she was not struggling at all.
They could have
not...
just left the arrow in, and it would have been a better choice.
Yeah, I've seen so many doctors say something. What
they should have done is snapped off both ends and just like wrapped it up and then dealt with it later.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing is you want to leave it in because you want somebody who really knows what they're doing to take it out and patch her up. Which I guess maybe they don't think they're going to have a chance to get that at some point, or they don't have medical professionals that'll actually know.
She was not even bleeding.
Like, should have.
She was doing fine. She was doing fine.
Yeah, until you're ready to actually take care of it.
It's holding itself.
In the middle of a siege is not the time to do that,
bro. But when they cauterize the wound, like this guy grabs the seeds and
mixes it with like tar.
No, that was blood.
It was blood.
That was blood.
He mixed it with her blood.
It was the same blood.
Oh my gosh!
Dude, you're gonna lose your mind. You're gonna lose your mind. It was the
They're
same blood,
seeds?
and then he puts the seeds in her open wound, her open bleeding wound. So why do you put blood in an already bleeding wound? It makes
you could just put the seeds directly there. I thought I didn't see it was blood. I'm gonna have to watch that back. I thought it was. I thought he pulled something out of a bag.
Yep. So he got out his seeds and then he took a little bit of her blood, mixed it in, and then put it on there. It's like, I can buy it, but it is a little wonky. And then you immediately burn the
was
seeds,
it like a ritual, like as a satanic ritual, like he was doing a ritual for I don't know,
like sort of help it be a coagulated thing that she could.
He was making a strong gravy.
He
was missing the dwarf.
The logic behind it
probably was recipe.
Probably the logic behind it was going to last longer. It was burn slower if it has the blood and it was wet.
I think they were trying to imply that there was some kind of magic quality to
probably. I mean, I can think about you trying to. I feel like I've heard it. I don't.
But there was blood already in the wound. She was.
To me,
there was something in the wound. It was blood.
I feel like there's a connection to the idea of like using like sawdust or something like that again to kind of help clot the wound or clot the blood or whatever. But again, that's why you don't need to like add blood to the sawdust and then put it on there. You just put the sawdust on the wound. Again, I could still be totally.
I mean, the seeds will make sense. Maybe the seeds was to avoid infection or something because they say they are treated. They are used early in the show. They say they are treated to. They're used to be to treat infection, but come on, like why don't use the blood that's already coming out of the wound? And the way they cauterize it, like cauterization is a pretty complex procedure that's supposed to be done by a surgeon with a machine or with chemicals, and then they hand he
hands it to the boy. He has the boy do it.
It's like it's time for you to become a man.
They needed to cauterize the other side as well.
They did both sides.
They did the back side.
Once a random guy does the other side.
Does the back side and then hands it to
stabs the girl with the flaming wood.
I was cringing at so hard. Like
he gives it to the boy and says,
closing my eyes for some of that.
It's time for you to become a man. It's time for you to become a man. Cauterize your mother.
Somebody was saying
it's like the scene from The Walking Dead where Carl kills his own mom, right? And except that just imagine that his dad was there the whole time and he makes his son do it instead. Right? Like, no, you do.
I mean, probably Aaron did this boy's father. I mean, they probably didn't you hear the theory?
His ears
that
are always covered with hair.
Yeah, exactly. They are covering his ears with the hair.
Doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense though, because the first time we see them together, like the dialogue
saying no.
sounds
Yeah.
like he's never even told her that he loves her. He says, I've said it in all but words.
Mhm.
Unless that means that they've just been banging this whole time and not talked about it.
They were drunk.
Awesome.
I've never said it yet, but we've done everything.
Mm-hmm.
They were intoxicated with love. Oh no. But their romance is so unbelievable. It's
Oh,
so
did you guys
stiff.
notice that they kissed next to the well
Mm-hmm.
where they talked?
Oh, was that?
It
I
was
knew it was
subtle.
the well where he was down there until almost dawn.
No, that was the first scene that we saw them together, and they were talking in the well, and then they kissed.
Yes,
It was
you're
really
right.
subtle, guys.
You're right.
Subtle. Oh, and Bronwyn totally when they were trying to light the carts, right, and the orc comes up,
just
the lady who's
absolutely
with
failed with
Bronwyn
striking.
walks up to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the orc, like she
stands up.
She walks up and goes like
back
this,
out
and then the orc goes whee. She doesn't even hold. She doesn't have a weapon or anything. She just exposes her neck.
Yeah, and for some reason, Bronwyn attacked his foot.
Yes.
Like what?
She stabs him in the foot.
You already know how to kill the orc. You already know how to slash.
Everyone knows.
throat.
You
Yeah.
thrust and twist and gut. But the second I saw her like struggling, I was like, oh, okay, well, so she's gonna have a cool moment where she kills the orc and she uses his torch to do. I was like, it's so predictable.
Yeah, it was pretty predictable.
But it makes no sense because she fences with the orc. Like they hit at the same time. She deflects the hit with her strength. Her female strength, and the orc aren't orcs supposed to be. Have a stronger than humans, right?
You're not supposed to trust brute force to an orc.
They are strong, but somehow she's supposed to deflect the attack of the orc with her own female 5-foot strength.
Well, you know what? Galadriel said to fight with your feet. So in stabbing the orc's foot,
then he can't fight anymore.
It's done. Game over.
Yeah,
you're playing for the chess, bro.
There was one of those things where I ended up watching the Everything Great About episode that they recently came out with for the Lord of the Rings, or they republished them, and he was talking about the amazing fight scenes, and you're seeing all these really cool fight scenes in
the original trilogy,
and everything. And I'm watching this here, and I'm like, it's not the worst that I've seen, but boy, it doesn't hold a candle to the show. Or just to the movies, like it was just so much better in the movies. They really did a lot to make sure that those fight scenes, those battle scenes, were really well put together. That scene where they're carrying in the battering ram that they end up using on the tavern door, they carry it up, and then they get distracted by the other people charging out to them, and then afterwards when they actually do break it down, you see them pick it back up and go towards it. It's the same shot as them walking up before they set it down.
Oh my God.
I was pretty sure. I'm like, I think that's. You may have to double check me on that, but I watched that and I'm like, wait a second. I think that's the same exact shot.
And if not, it's probably.
I'll go back and watch it. Oh, I have to. I watched the whole thing in slow motion. So
probably at this point you can believe anything.
My favorite part,
paste the people in the town, like, oh my.
Yeah.
My favorite part is when Arondir was fighting that one orc next to the well where he's gonna kiss Bronwyn later, and he's almost dead. He stabs the guy in the eyeball, and he starts bleeding on him, and then he keeps opening his mouth and like trying to. Like moving into the blood so he can get more in his mouth. And I'm like, dude, just close your mouth.
Chocolate.
Oh, and of course they do the stupid cliche where the orc sneaks up behind him, but for some reason doesn't have a weapon and decides to pick him up and throw him across the room. And then he does it 3 more times instead of just killing Arondir like anyone would do in a battle.
Although they set up the predictable idea of, after the battle, we'll figure it out. You and I and Theo and whatever, we'll be a family. We can be together. And so they're like, oh, so he's going to die. And he didn't die. So, and they almost did the fake out of her dying, but she didn't die. So you have they didn't go with the predictable, but they went with the other predictable of
The
nobody dies,
fact
there's no
that
consequences. I wanted him to at least get stabbed in the eye so that he could be like a cool eye patch.
See,
elf.
I knew
That would've been kinda
she
cool,
wasn't
actually.
going
Nick
to die
Fury.
because they'd already shown a bunch of promotional material of her in a different place with a different outfit, and she hasn't changed her outfit since episode 1. So
yeah. Which apparently has been weeks, because
apparently
we were talking about before how like they made it seem like everything was all the same timing, and they kind of did, but they kind of didn't, because maybe there's no way it does line up, but maybe it does, because
did you see the director? One of the directors did an interview, and they were talking about the Harfoot traveling montage, and he said, "Oh, so how long are they doing this?" It's probably they're probably doing this for like 2 weeks, I guess. Like the writers genuinely do not know how long it's been.
Yeah,
like, but that looked like a long trip. Like that looked at least month. Like
the one time that they actually did something to
are-
show off the landscape
not-
of New Zealand.
They are not only walking, but they are walking with
with big carts,
carrying a lot of things,
and they are small.
And
they travel a good bit of distance.
They
too.
are
It
not
shows in the
strong.
map.
They are
not
not
only
strong
that,
at
they're
all.
they're recamouflaging their carts and their hair with every new place
Yeah,
that
they
they
are.
go to. That's no small feat. That takes time.
Exactly. There is no
100%.
answer because they don't have it because they don't care. They're just
And
making it
again,
up as they go.
which is why they've stopped showing the maps. Which is why they.
I know that was like my favorite thing. One of the few
that was
things I
cool.
liked. The map transitions were really well done, and they stopped after 3 episodes because they realized that the show falls apart if they show you the maps. Did you guys notice though when Adar and the army first show up at the tower, and they're like, "Oh, they're all gone"? Adar says, "No, he's still here. I can smell him." Why does the elf have better smelling abilities than the orcs?
He's an Uruk.
Oh, you're right. No, he isn't Uruk. You're right. I wrote that down before that reveal. And I forgot about it.
But still, the
But
orcs
they
should have,
would be able to smell
They
better.
would probably be able to smell that as well.
They're like
the
dogs.
orcs aren't the orcs supposed to have good smell for humans
Yes.
and for elves, and there
Yes.
are actually some orcs that are trackers, and they have such great smell that they can literally follow the track of a human for days, from days on. But they are not able to smell anything. Not Arondir, not Theo when he's in the well. Like that scene, him coming out of the well, like that felt like almost Assassin's Creed levels of like no one's noticing. Like, oh my! But we are talking about another episode. Yeah, that whole scene with Bronwyn lets me really believe that she's immortal somehow, that she has to be like maybe maybe getting romantic with an elf grants you immortality or something,
Something like that.
gagging on that on the juice of an elf makes me that grants immortality. I don't know. But the fact that she's up and around the very same day, the very same day she gets mortally wounded and almost bleeds to death. She has no blood transfusion or something. She's not eating. She hasn't had anything to eat yet. Maybe give her something to eat. Give her a little bit of a Coke or something. Give her something to replenish her energy.
It was the magic seeds.
Yeah,
there you go. It's magic seeds.
But they burn.
New life in defiance of death.
She's up and around. She's not even worried about her wounding her shoulder. She's moving
making
her
out with
shoulder
him.
freely. She's almost drinking. I was expecting her to start dancing La Bamba or something, out of nowhere. Like when the queen was like, "Oh, you have a new king." She was like, okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. I'm good. I'm good. That makes no sense. Like Bronwyn is immortal. It's an immortal being.
Maybe she's the witch king of Agmar.
Oof.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just assume everyone on the show is Sauron now.
Yeah,
Maybe she's pregnant with an elf.
How did Theo know where the knife was? They literally make a point of saying, "I'm not going to let anyone know where I'm hiding it," and then Theo is the one who finds it.
The closest you get is the fact that he overhears Erondir saying, "No one can know, not even you," and you see him in the background go, "Huh."
He perks up and kind of follows after him. But yeah,
but
you're
how,
right,
how would
it's kinda
Erondir not have noticed that he was being followed and what? Like, come on, he should be.
Did you guys notice this? So they're in the tavern and it's nighttime.
Oh yeah, it cuts to outside.
And then it shows the Numenorian forces and it's daytime. And then it goes back to nighttime, and you can see like Adar open up the door, and it's nighttime outside.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think you actually see a scene outside, and it looks like it's light, and then he comes in, and it's dark.
It's
that's clearly the middle of the night. Like the last scene clearly is the middle of the night. It clearly is like the scene in the cabin is the night. Like the only light
outside. This is outside. It's nighttime. They go inside, and you can still see the door opening up, and it's insane.
Yeah, it was something lost in the edit.
Mess.
Yeah.
No,
and then
I don't think it was ever lost in the edit. I think they just didn't care.
It was lost in the conception, and then they shot a bunch of things, and they were not able to edit it together in any more sensible way.
But do you know what that tells me? That they were probably shooting the scenes from the battle. Like they probably took them a long time to shoot those scenes, and maybe the scenes that we are able to see are the ones that were the only good ones, and it was so late that they were, oh my god, it's late already, it's not even night now, it's not night anymore, so why do we do? And they just say, just put it in the show, we don't care about the continuity, just put it there, no one will notice that we took 6-7 hours recording the whole shot, but everyone was so bad, and maybe the Galadriel shots were so bad that they took like probably if we analyzed shot by shot from the battle, there are probably different points in the day, like that scene when Galadriel did her stunt, that looked like
that was like broad daylight.
Yeah, that was broad daylight. That was the middle of the day.
Also, when the Numenorians show up, they wipe out the army in like 2 seconds, and then they have that moment where Isildur is talking to his friend, and he's like, "Oh, I've seen enough battle for a lifetime. Like you probably killed one orc, dude."
Yeah, I was okay with that because I think that there's a certain level of the like, it was a short battle, but that was more than I really was in for. I just didn't really know what I was in for, so I could kind of buy it. But yeah, it was.
The guy gets hit, like the orc starts swinging on the guy, but doesn't do anything else. The guy's just blocking.
He's hitting him in the. He's just going.
And the guy's hits 7-8 times in the same spot, and the guy's like, He was like,
it's a miracle that the orcs managed to kill anyone.
The other one that was kind of weird was they showed Isildur was up on the mountain with a bunch of other people with the queen and everything, the queen region and everything, and then then he can see something going on with his dad, and so he rides down.
Weird.
It like takes a whole 5 minutes to get there, and his dad's totally fine, and he's like, "Oh, I was worried about you." I was really confused until he got there, and I'm like, "Oh, was that what that was all about? How did he see?" And he's there in time to be like,
exactly.
Oh, okay. They were just at the top of the hill, and the queen ranger is like, "Go." And like I was assuming he's like, okay, you go and take a whole bunch of horses as reinforcements or something. Yeah, but it's literally just him going down there, and it's like, oh,
I didn't even know it was Isildur until he got down there. You know, I was like, oh, she said, is he supposed to be a messenger then, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah,
just weird.
Yeah, you're right. It was very weird.
They're probably trying to do this. I don't know if it's a cliche, but I've seen it in some other movies about medieval fights where they are in a small group with the queen or the king, and then these guys watching the battle from afar, and it's like, oh, I'm riled up. I want to join the battle, and the king is like, join it or something.
Right. I
And
guess
but
maybe.
it makes no sense because
Yeah.
why would you leave the guard? You know, the queen's guard or the king's guard. You know, you are supposed to protect the queen. And
He's not even a queen's guard. He's the
He's just a
stable boy.
stable.
yeah. Why is he? Why is he there?
Why is he even in armor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is he even there? Like with the queen, you're supposed to have the best fighters with the queen, protecting the queen, and you have this nobody, and then the queen that literally doesn't know this guy has never had any
Never met him.
interaction with this
Yeah.
guy, just goes ahead and, oh, I see your pain, I see that you're worried about your father, go ahead and help this guy.
Yeah,
There's no way they
it
would
makes
have
the
been able
most
to
sense that
see
it's supposed to have been
his
he,
father,
he
though,
just
from-
wanted to get in the battle, so it's like, okay, yeah, go ahead and get in the battle.
But
even
he
though you
has the
shouldn't
eagle
be.
eye, you know, he has the eagle eye.
And then as
I
he's
well, he
riding
was
up,
wearing
maybe
that
he
stupid
sees it.
helmet
I
though,
don't
so
know. Yeah.
maybe they did recognize that he was in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as
He
the
doesn't
Queen's,
even
but it's
go
pretty
here.
bad.
Ah, the queens.
It's
Everyone has, you know, armor with with the boobs. You know, like, they why did they do everyone like,
Anatomically detailed armor. Yeah.
yeah, they totally emasculating every Numenorian with that armor. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
have
Wasn't too bad, but it is bizarre looking. It doesn't
Yeah.
look good for sure.
Yeah.
and what's the other scene that the fighting? At least there's the scene with the stab, twist, and gut.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even does it in the gut. That what was weird for me. He does it like in the chest. He stabs the chest and then he twists and then he pulls. And well, that obviously will be more effective. Why
probably gonna
did
get
they?
stuck, but
Yeah,
yeah.
why didn't Galadriel taught that move from the start? Stab the heart or stab the vital organs and twist, and then you pull, and they are probably gone.
And it's weird because the way that it shows it, it's like they explode when you pull the sword out. And like that's not how that works.
Oh, it's just it's so
But
silly.
orcs like have some sort of gunpowder in their blood or something when you
Right.
strike a sword, or when you not even strike a sword, when you know pull a sword close to them, they
They
just
explode.
explode. Yeah,
Their head
they're
explodes.
allergic. They have an
Mhm.
allergic reaction to the swords.
The entire episode just felt childish. It felt like little kids playing with their action figures, thinking, "Oh, Galadriel's
Yeah.
gonna flip upside down
But
on her horse and
it
kill
almost
a
feels
orc."
like there's an adult in the group that does the other scenes, but everyone else is children saying, "No, you're so lame, you're so boring. Why do you have to
Yeah.
do those scenes?" That's why they cut those scenes so shortly and so abruptly
Yeah.
and so dumbly.
Yeah.
The scene where so after the battle and she's interrogating Adar, this is right after she tells Halbrand not to kill him, and then she tells him she's going to murder him and everyone he loves and his family and his kids, and then she
Mama, her
almost kills him
children.
herself, and she leaves a cut on his throat, and it's the same size of cut that killed
The other guy.
the other elf earlier in the scene, where it was just this teeny little. Oh.
Bro, I remember that.
And I'm like, oh, he's dead. He
Yeah.
just killed Adar.
That's the amount of healing power that the elves supposed to have. And, like Arondir talks in the first episode of how the elves are immortal because they have such healing powers, and when they are wounded, they just heal the wounds so they don't die. But this guy just dies of a cut in his throat, and well, Adar is like, no, I'm fine, and it's just same amount of cut. But
Yeah,
in
a
the end,
paper
well,
cut.
we can. I don't want to jump to the end yet, but remember that the other guy died, that the other
From a
elf
very similar
died
wound.
from a very small cut in
There was
this
no blood.
area, you know.
It was that was such a weird choice too back in that episode, because they just showed like disembowelment, and they showed like blood everywhere, right? Or that was later with the dog.
with
the
warg,
war that he's like, and so like they're not afraid of showing blood, but in that one scene, it's just like a little. It looked like a scratch.
It was what confused me was they cut away from it, and I assumed that they were doing it in a way because they were trying to not show blood. But then again, they immediately then go show.
Yeah, it wasn't for the rating at all. No.
Yeah.
But
the thing that I was actually just the next thing I was thinking about was the fact that apparently no one since they tackled him checked to make sure that what was in the package was actually the sword.
It's a completely different shape.
It is, and see, I
like
thought
the sword
my first thought was that
the sword had that giant elaborate hilt that was at the center of it, right? So it was like long on both ends and it had a lump in the middle. And an axe, it has a long end and a lump on the top.
Which even if you turn it upside down, but then like it also was just cylindrical and when it was wrapped up, and it was just the most bizarre thing because I at first thought maybe this was Arondir not actually trusting him with it. And then, of course, you see what it cuts to, and I was like, so none of them have checked to make sure that this is still the sword since they got it back from it.
Somehow just
that would have made
was able to sneak away
sense
from the battle.
Yeah. Well, no, because they show him saying, "Oh, hey, Waldrig or whatever the dude's name is, come here. I have something for you."
Waldrig, I think.
Yeah, and it was just before the Numenorians showed up, or somewhere right before that. So he must have. That was where that little connection was.
Exactly.
It still didn't connect great, but it was like, okay, yeah, they did at least.
They at least show it. They at
But
least didn't
like,
put it right out of
that's
there.
weird.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense that Galadriel would not know how this thing is and Halbrand, but then Arondir will just touch it and say like he tried to destroy it some scenes before.
Yeah, he knows
so
what it
he
looks
knows,
like. He knows what it
he knows
feels
the exact form of that thing. You're trying to destroy something. You know the full extent of the form.
All it does is open up a dam.
It also would probably be useful as an actual sword.
Yeah,
but apparently not,
because you'd bleed to death.
It takes blood.
You have to split your wrists every time you want to use it,
bro. Like that's
you just gotta
the
pour
most
your hate and anger into it. You got to bleed the blade. Wait, sorry, that's
the most useless sword I've seen in my life because in the scene when Theo faces the orc and he like literally stabs himself, so
it's going to remove all of your grip strength.
No, not only that, but he stabs the orc. He swings the sword and wounds the orc. But the orc in the very next scene, he's all right. He's moving. He's making a fist. He's all right. And what amount of damage did the sword did? No, nothing. The sword did no damage. So that was the most useless sword. Drawing blood from you and not even able to do something cool with the cut. Maybe a poison or something.
If you started like withering away or something, make it a magic sword.
There's a sword. I don't know. There's a sword in an anime called Owari no Seraph that draws blood from you. The vampires use swords that draw blood from you, and those swords were freaking cool. They were at least cool. They did a good amount of damage, but these swords do nothing, and he's taking blood from you. Like, it makes more sense to be a key, but to be a key for a dam to open up a dam, like.
Make an explosion. It had nothing to do with the volcano. That was Adar's thing.
I think Adar just wanted to use the key that would open the dam because he was planning on the volcano, but it's still kind of like
he was digging the holes.
What was it then?
He was digging the holes.
Sauron.
Pointian goes into the other guy.
Zoro before trading. Yep.
Pointian goes into the other guy. Hell yeah!
I love the Zoro movies, man. Even the sequel was pretty good.
I kept on meaning to watch that one. My wife and I watched the original one a little while ago when it was on Netflix, and then never got around to watching the other one.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about the holes, the digging that the orcs did, like structurally make no sense. When the water will pass through those tunnels, the tunnels will
collapse.
yeah, the tunnels will probably collapse, no, and they will probably seal
Clog
or
up, yeah.
stop the flow of the water, and the water will
The
not.
trench made sense, but the tunnels didn't.
The trench makes
And because
sense.
the tunnels were like branching out to all the different cities and stuff, but then when it shows the water coming from the dam, it floods the tunnels first, and then the tunnels feed the trench.
Yeah,
which doesn't make any sense because it's like multiple sources going into the trench, but it's coming from one source.
and the amount of water that came from the dam, it was a big amount of water that would not be able to be controlled like that when it first goes into the first, when it comes out of the dam and first goes into the first tunnel or the first hole, that is like the water will not go inside that hole, will go somewhere else, will break into little small rivers or small canals or something. Will behaves completely differently.
And it's also like, if you look at the terrain and the shots that they've showed you, establishing shots before, it's going to have to travel uphill to get to the a mountain is high.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And around
they
the
do
mountain,
like that,
it slopes away from
Yeah.
the mountain, and somehow they've dug this tunnel from a lake that it was high up, but then it drops down, and it's somehow traveling uphill to get to
yeah.
And
It's
again,
like a
maybe
roller
it's supposed to be opening into an underground cavern below the mountain, but they don't really show that very well at all. So
No, it was like a roller coaster. It
Yeah.
like it fell from the dam and went to the tunnels and went all the way,
a
and
couple
then it
turns.
went up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
There was
went
a
up to the
loop-de-loop
mountain
at one point,
and then to the volcano. And
Carlos has a good comment in the section there. People like the dam scene in Two Towers. Let's include that, even if it doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, well this episode was supposed to be Helm's Deep, but it sucked.
Sort of.
yeah, it was like taking the best parts of the movies, just trying to make the best of the action scenes of that movie.
Yeah.
And then so the volcano erupts. I laughed so hard when it showed that one Numenorian soldier just get completely vaporized.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
Well, and then you've got Galadriel just standing there.
But worse than that, you've got
Like, I don't give a
Halbrand
damn.
helping people behind her, like and
He's
like
like-
pulling people out of the way,
Yeah.
and she decides to just like whip out her junk and just like face the like.
Did you read the article when they said it in the same article, I believe, when they say that she was supposed to be doing that because she had a moment of peace. She was enjoying a moment of peace.
That's not the look that was on her face.
the
It was a
same-
moment of like
the same
anger.
The same actress said it. She said like, "Oh, the Galadriel stood, stand still because she was enjoying a moment of peace apart from the battle." And I was,
she
check
should
it in
be
the article
completely
from Screen
vaporized.
Rant.
Everyone in that city would be.
I think
instantly
that
dead.
was in another article from Screen Rant. I saw it.
This is perfect.
Just before
It's Helm's Cheap.
There you go.
Except that it was really expensive.
Yeah.
Too much.
Mark,
They
anyone else
spent
craving
so
Cheetos
much
after
more
that
money
scene?
than Peter Jackson spent on the entire trilogy just
Yeah.
on this one season.
But I wondering like, how is everyone going to survive the Cheeto avalanche? Like,
No,
like
the science. If everyone's defending the science of how the volcano erupted, and completely ignoring the fact that every single person in that village would be vaporized instantly.
Joe, there's a great article in Forbes that came out 5 years ago that said like, how would you get killed by a pyroclastic cloud? And it basically said, obviously you are not going to survive. There's no way, even if you are behind a big building.
Yeah, even if you jump behind a building, you're dead.
You're dead because the temperature rises.
And if you somehow survive, you'll suffocate to death.
With the not only with the gas but the temperature of the vapors, it's too much. It's almost 2000 Fahrenheit. Like it's insane. How did she survive? Like,
it's because she's a woman.
and Bronwyn also survived that with her wound. Probably, I bet you that she's gonna
Oh,
be.
if it wasn't infected before, if it wasn't infected before, it is now.
She's gonna be up and around the next episode. It would be fun as hell that everyone just dies there. Halbrand dies. Everyone, Isildur dies. Obviously,
you know, they should have had Bronwyn in the same scene where Arondir was just drinking the orc blood. They should have had her slip in for a second to have it drip onto her wound as well.
Yeah, she will survive that. Yeah, she has.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying this is probably money laundering. It feels like the plot of the producers, you know, where they're just trying to make it that on purpose, but it just doesn't make sense. Like they're putting a lot of money into this, and the fact that they're trying to cover, you know, and not let people review it, and there's a bunch of bots on Twitter that are trying to market for it.
Yeah,
like they want this to succeed.
That would make sense if they were not paying the shields and the reviewers. Like if they were just not making a huge deal out of it and just you know, going on silent about it and saying, okay, we take the L, we messed up, sorry guys. That maybe will be more like money laundering. That'll be more suspicious. But yeah, definitely they
had like the volcano articles ready before the episode aired.
Yeah.
I mean, the animation of the volcano.
To be fair, it makes sense that people would immediately be complaining about it. So if they're gonna be like, people are gonna complain about this, probably you shouldn't put it in your show that way. Then.
Yeah.
But people are gonna complain about this, so yeah, it makes sense that they would put that in. They'd have it ready because they're like,
well, it's because they think that they're right though, because they read a Wikipedia article saying that water can set off a volcano. Yes, if it's pressurized. And
not what was going on there.
They didn't finish reading it. They didn't finish the article.
They just read the headlights. The headlines. Yeah.
We'll have an evil key that will open it down. Yeah. And if people complain about it, we can pretend, we can show them that they're stupid because they don't know how the science works.
That's the thing. I kind of want to like it because I did like the idea that like, hey, this thing was a bigger, you know, there was a bigger bait and switch going on here, and this was a bigger, different plan than what you thought it was. There were some cool ideas, and again, some of the effects looked pretty cool, but then doesn't hold up.
Yeah, and someone brought up Pompeii, and it's just like they will be.
There's not a single survivor, right?
Petrified in that
from the heat and then the ash. Yeah,
the heat and the ash will just petrify them. It will be there just to see Bronwyn like doing a stone face, like.
Yeah, you know, it's depending on how close you are. If you're really close, you just get vaporized, and if you're further away, you get petrified, and if you're further away, you suffocate to death, and if you're further away, you might make it out.
That'd be a boss move. That boss move, just killing off all the characters. Just make a red wedding.
Just reset the whole series.
Yeah, make a red wedding. you're like, the show is not going great. We're taking the losses. Just kill all the characters.
Yeah. This isn't actually Galadriel. It's Sauron.
Well, Galadriel survives. Obviously, Galadriel survives because she's immortal or something.
Yeah. Or see what would have worked though is if you dropped this whole shenanigans about Galadriel being this powerful warrior person. You know, she could be powerful in magic like she is actually in the show. She could be doing a chant to
protect everyone
protect
from
the city
volcano.
Or something like that. But no, she's got to be this powerful warrior.
Doesn't help anybody and decides to just take a volcano.
What's with the Shiro dust? What's with the Shiro dust? Like logically, like scientifically, it makes no sense. Like why would she be covered in? What is that?
Looks
like
cool.
It looks like
I think it's just meant to be the ash, but with the glowing of the volcano, illuminating
but is that molten?
It doesn't look good.
Stupid, flaming ashes, or why are they red? Why are they the color red? Wouldn't they, if they were ashes, they would be gray or black, you know? But why is that ash red?
I think it's
not
just the
burning.
lighting. But it's
I think it's
really
the lighting.
Poorly,
yeah,
so.
It's the lighting.
But
Okay.
But the lighting should be directional from the volcano, and on the backside it should be black and gray ash color.
So they probably basically ended up putting a filter on instead of actually using light to cause that, which just makes it look.
That's
look
why
cheap and
it looks
Cheeto-y.
like Cheeto. That's because they use a Cheeto filter, you know.
Right, Cheeto filter.
Cheeto filter. Oh no, but that's Mordor, right? Yeah, overdosing on Cheetos over there.
It's because they're cheaters.
But I don't care. Like Galadriel has no lungs. She has no lungs, no skin. She has no skin left. Her bones are already calcinated or something. Combusted. She should have combusted in the spot.
I'm pretty sure we won't even see what happens for 2 episodes, because the next one's going to focus on the
Harfoots. Oh my god.
And then the finale will be everyone at the volcano at the end.
Everyone walking on to the sunshine, happy.
Do you think they reveal Sauron this season?
With the pace they're going, I mean,
probably not.
Probably not, but
they are
a
gonna
single ring of power, maybe. I don't know.
But they're definitely gonna chip the hell out of Halbrand and Galadriel, and they're gonna make the whole arc.
Oh yeah, the scene where they're like, when you we were riding horses together, and you hated that guy really bad, and I hated that guy really bad, and I felt our souls touch. I really felt something there, and it was so cringy.
Yeah,
it's the lighting. But why do they have to force the dialogue so badly? Like, no one believes that they will care for each other when they are literally insulting each other in previous episodes, teasing the hell out of each other, saying, you were in a bar fight or something. And just in the episode before, they were screaming at each other. That was supposed to be like the romantic moment.
Well, I don't think the writers have ever had real relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably very accurate to the relationships that these writers have been in.
But they haven't even read any real relationships from any good books.
There is the trope of the you drive each other crazy, and then but they haven't had enough actual chemistry for that to work, because you have to have the chemistry kind of underlying that, and that's not what you've shown at all.
Yeah, this show is exactly on par with the Wheel of Time quality.
Except the Wheel of Time, the first couple episodes were fine.
The first couple episodes, the Wheel of Time started off good and just completely fell apart. And this has been bad.
This has been bad from the start. Yeah.
I mean, there's not a single redeemable episode. This could be I can't even say that this could be the best because the most happens, but it's the worst because it's probably the dumbest of them all.
Yeah.
It was the most enjoyable to watch because there was stuff actually happening, but it was so stupid. I was just laughing the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had a great time. The other episodes, I was struggling to stay awake. I was falling asleep the whole time. In this episode, I was just laughing.
I've been having a great time watching the Rings of Power, just laughing. It's the best comedy. If you add a laughing track behind the scenes, it's just the best comedy ever.
I know half the time when I'm making my edits for the Devoid of Logic videos, I'm like, I can't even think of a joke. I just want to play the scene.
The joke.
I'm like, but I have to put something in, right?
Yeah.
So what we get of this episode, Galadriel, Bronwyn, immortal beings, almost godlike beings, girl power. Feminism makes them immortal.
I don't know.
What else? Galadriel never fights with the actual sword. She never gets out of the hordes to fight.
Who are they going to be fighting in the finale, though? Because they killed all the orcs. There was a handful of them left that they were holding hostage.
Well, yeah, there was there wasn't very
the
many
volcano.
Of them that they were holding hostage.
They will fight.
They're going to be fighting the volcano. Oh, it's going to be the Balrog.
Oh,
it's the Balrog.
Yeah.
He's going to teleport. He's going to teleport from Moria to Mount Doom.
Yeah.
But
I don't
there's
even
fire,
know.
so they are probably there's
But
fire.
like,
So
but think about it,
that makes sense.
normally in a TV show like this, where there's like 2 episodes left, you would be able to see like some foreshadowing of like oh, they're gonna have to
Where
deal
the
with this
conflict is gonna
problem
go.
at the end. In this, I have no idea
Yeah.
what they're doing. There's no foreshadowing. Like, there's nothing. I don't know. I don't know who the bad guy is. I don't know anything.
I mean, I guess they're probably going to meet up with those white robed cultists that are tracking the stranger or something.
Who've been in like 2 seconds of screen time.
Exactly. Who they wanted you to think was Sauron from the trailers, but yeah, it's just this whole thing is a mess. I do want to note one more note before we move on. My wife has been in the chat, and she was talking about the costuming, how it's been mostly absolutely terrible in the season. There've been a couple costumes that have been pretty good.
I actually haven't minded it,
but most of it
until
is
the Numenorian or armor.
Yeah, most of the costumes just don't look lived in. It just looks like iron-on cosplay.
Yeah, a lot of them would look good if they
stuff.
wrinkled them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I can buy the Numenorians not being as wrinkled because they're supposed to be all prissy and nice and too good or whatever.
Sure,
like
but
the elves were supposed to be.
All of their clothing looks like it was just sewn together and it was never ironed straight. It was just sewn rapidly for like a stage production of a play or something. It's just like it's terrible. But there was one comment that my wife made this last 2 episodes ago. But one that I hadn't thought of. So Galadriel shows up to Numenor in just a blank white robe, right? And then all of a sudden, she's wearing a nice elven dress. Where does she get that elven dress? She should be wearing Numenorian clothing. But she's wearing this very distinct elvish dress.
I didn't like the dress. I thought it looked horrible.
And it was crazy
but it's
because
not Numenorian. It doesn't match up with anything else that the Numenorians are wearing. And suddenly she's got this very elvish style dress that's like you said, it's terribly made, but it's not Numenorian either.
Adding to that,
and then she's got the armor,
and it gets crazier because that's the same armor that they removed from her in the first episode when she's about to go into the light. They are removing that same armor.
It's the same armor.
It's the same armor, but it's the same armor with a little bit. With some changes, but it's the same style. How did they get that very same style of literally the same arrow, but with something shiny here, with her,
a star there,
something like a star in her chest. But it's the same armor that they removed in the first episode, it's like, how do the Numenorians know Elvish? They are supposed to hate the elves, and they're supposed to be apart, separated from the elves, and not even having an elf in how many years they don't even say. But she goes up with the same freaking armor. Why isn't she wearing a Numenorian armor? Like in the same way, why wasn't she wearing a Numenorian nightgown? Why is she wearing a Numenorian, not a Numenorian armor, but an Elvish armor?
Before the show came out, someone asked about this armor in particular because there's a crest on it that is confused. I can't remember what it is, but it's from something else. And someone asked, why is she wearing this armor with this crest? This is wrong. And she responds, Morfydd Clark says, oh, it was a gift. So it's not actually her armor. But it doesn't.
But it perfectly fits
any
her.
of it in the show.
Like,
So who is it from? I don't. Who's the gift from? I don't. Nothing. They don't explain anything in the show.
And I'm telling you.
And when they do explain something, they explain it 6 times so because they hold your hand, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that they don't explain, they just don't have answers to.
Did Elrond just send her an armor from wherever wherever the hell he is?
Yeah.
Like he was like, because they look like the armor from the army
Elrond
of
doesn't know
Gil-galad.
she's still alive, right? They haven't shown anything to prove that.
Yeah. But because everybody just knows things, they're probably gonna. He's not. I don't know. That's. Yeah.
So 2 episodes of this crap left.
There's 2 left.
Yep.
I cannot believe it. Like it's almost like a fever dream.
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up.
Oh, we've been talking about it for 2 hours, so I think it's time to move on from Rings of Power, or I might die. David,
Talk
we
about
actually
something better, right? Andor, maybe.
we got a segue. David, we actually have a grievance to air today. We got to air your grievance. This one is from that Martina girl. It says,
"Oh
no." A couple of years ago, my husband went on a business trip to Italy, and now I've seen some pictures of some kids that look like they're his. What's going on? Did he cheat on me? So here we go. Here's this thing.
If you have a problem, we have a solution. We solve global warming and ended all pollution. Now, but you don't have to pay us any heathens. You just have to tweet us, #air your grievance.
Okay, so this is Giorgia Meloni, who's going to be the new prime minister of Italy, and apparently she's racist for liking Tolkien, because Tolkien has long inspired fascists.
Yeah, we're talking fans are
which
racist.
is silly. But here's a picture of her dressed up with her family, and the first time I saw this picture, I was shocked because these are David's kids.
They sure look like it. Holy cow!
This is your daughter, David.
That's Summer.
This is Summer.
Sorry, I shouldn't say the name. Sorry.
This looks a lot like Laura.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this little girl down here, that's you. I've got a picture right here.
Oh no.
What happened, David?
How dare you?
Accurate.
Here's another one. That's the same person, right? This one in the bottom right actually looks a little bit like me, but not really. Like, I don't have dimples. You know? But seriously, like it's so funny. It totally looks like she's related to us. Oh, here's another one of David. Just come on, that's spot on, right? This one especially, the smile.
Yeah, the smiles right there. Oh gosh.
So what's the verdict? Did David cheat? I say yes.
He cheated with the prime minister of Italy.
He cheated with the future prime minister of Italy.
Right. Oh man.
Hey, like they say in She-Hulk, I smash.
No, she's very attractive, and the fact that she cosplays as Lord
Galadriel
only makes her hotter. So
yeah,
but apparently dressing up like Tolkien.
Now that's a Galadriel I would like to
fascism,
watch,
according to CNN, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing about her, that you cannot find information of her in YouTube that doesn't say
it's all negative,
far right. Oh my, like
well, that only makes sense if you say that there's only communist or fascist. Like there's nowhere in between. There's no nuance, you know. Yeah.
But her platform, I watched a speech. Her entire platform is families are important, and I want to uphold family values.
Yeah,
that makes her
Italy. Her party's Fratelli d'Italia is basically familia, is in Italian. Latin, that Fratelli is Latin, for that family.
Okay, all right. Let's do some bad takes. Here we got another stinger. So I say, the verdict. I'm pretty sure David cheated on his wife. So sorry, that Martina girl. Them's the facts.
But
I don't know what else to say. What else to tell you?
If anyone else has a grievance, this one was obviously fake and set up. But you can send us your grievance, and we'll talk about it. Just send me a tweet or in the chat. Here we go. Let's do some bad
Screen rants. Bad takes.
Okay, let's see how fast we can get through these.
That's a lot of tabs.
Yeah. It's a lot of tabs, guys. The Rings of Power's Balrog and Mithril episode. Rings of Power, Balrog and Mithril, episode 5, scene explained by the director. It had to be explained because it makes no sense. There was one Cimmeril that was never really accounted for, which is a lie. That's not true. And so we were thinking is we could come up with a possibility for what would have happened to it. Nothing, because there aren't any unaccounted for Cimmerils. And what makes Mithril so special is because it could contain the light of the Cimmeril. That's something that you made up. So, but like you see how they're putting the cart before the horse here? Like, oh, Mithril special because it could be a Cimmeril, because we made up the fact that it could be a Cimmeril. And Tolkien was all about like great myths and great stories, and we wanted it was the possibility of the things that could be, and infusing things with possibility and something magical. Like, he's just rambling on and on. And then there's this discovery of whether or not that's true or not. And so we thought it would be a cool idea, a cool possibility. It would be part of the season to explore whether it's true or not. Well, spoilers, it's not true. It's made up. It's stupid.
Yeah, I'd love to hear Liz's perspective on this, because the idea that they're putting this, because this is they're completely coming up with lore here, unless there's something that she knows about that I have no idea, because it's just like that's wildly,
it's made up. It's completely stupid.
Personally, I don't mind that Mithril was powered from the Cimmerils or whatever, but the fact that the entire elven race, their immortality hangs on the Mithril, that's the part that doesn't make any sense.
The line that they say is, "We need to bask in the light of the Cimmeril to preserve the light of the Eldar."
But it's made up of the light and
they include a story of another Cimmeril when they talk about Elrond's daddy and why he's gone, which is something whose light they bask in every day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense why
right.
it's the sun, guys. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
They contradict each other. But we got to move on. Galadriel and Halbrand's Rings of Power relationship explained by Morfydd Clark. I'm just going to skip to the quote directly and read it verbatim, and then we can laugh. With Galadriel, the problem is she feels more than just vibes. She feels massive, monumental galaxy shifts whenever she feels anything. Somehow, that's what she sees as a hopeless mortal. That she found somehow what she sees a hopeless mortal that she found stranded at sea has changed her forever. It was really fun exploring how vulnerable this mythical being Galadriel could be by stripping her of all of her magic. And we spoke about that and how we'd stage it. And I just felt that if we just didn't look at each other at all, that would be intense, because I can't act.
Yep.
It's so stupid. She feels massive, monumental galaxy shifts whenever she feels anything.
You know what? And I will say that is consistent with what she has portrayed.
It is
what she feels is
still dumb.
Is all over the place. She feels so big all the time. And I guess there are people who are going to really be able to feel like they can identify with that. But boy, they're not doing it well, I don't think.
I mean,
they felt so connected.
I would be happy if that was portrayed in the actual show. You know, the intensity in her acting was reflected. All the emotion that she's supposed to feel, you know, the intense sweet, the intense changes, but she doesn't reflect that in the screen. She's
wooden.
Yeah, she's wooden.
All she knows is scrunch.
Yeah.
I hate orcs.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I think she's just doing a poor job of trying to marry the two ideas of the very detached elf with this over, like, because she's supposed to be, elves are supposed to be high and lofty and detached, but then she's also supposed to feel intensely, and I don't think it's coming across very well.
Exactly.
She just feels the one emotion intensely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for example, I've been watching very carefully
on the seawater.
I've been watching very carefully Kate Blanchett's performance as Galadriel, and all the little
It's so
subtle
subtle.
change, so subtle the changes
But
she
you can
does.
see every emotion in
Yeah,
her face.
and the way she stops blinking all of the sudden for a long periods of times. I'm impressed. Like, how can you do that without blinking? Something so natural, but because you are supposed to interpret an ethereal being, that was a decision she made for the character, and that made perfect sense, and that worked perfectly. And she doesn't blink unless she when she's talking
Wants
to
to.
Aragorn, and she's saying goodbye to Aragorn, and she blinks once. She closes her eyes to blink to say goodbye, and that's the only time we see her be vulnerable, and that's why she blinks. And yeah, Galadriel has no control over her emotions. Like,
It's not a
in the
strength.
new Galadriel, the Guy Ladriel, or Galadrielo, like I like to call him.
Galadriel. Yeah, no wonder she needed therapy to do her action scenes. Did
Dude,
you read
like
that
that was
article?
so dumb. Like, the first time I heard about exposure therapy, it was with autistic people, because I saw The Good Doctor, and The Good Doctor goes through exposure therapy to be able to relate
To
to
acclimate to real
humans
life.
normally, to interact with her girlfriend or whatever. And this spoiled girl is doing exposure therapy to play a character. You're playing pretend. Like, how can you? Oh,
It's so stupid.
like, in Mexico, we go basically for exposure therapy when we play football. Soccer is a big thing there, and
Yeah.
you have to be able to not flinch when the ball is coming at you, and that basically happens with every other sport. With a ball, when you play basketball, you cannot flinch when the ball is coming at you. When you play football as well, but so you learn that as a little boy, as a boy, I learned that, the on the bad on a bad way. I was receiving so much balls to the face that eventually I stopped caring about the ball coming to my
You like
face.
having balls in your face a lot?
Yeah, exactly. I was a ball
just
magnet.
one ball after another.
Yeah, they say in Mexico, they say that you're a ball magnet.
Man.
And yeah, so that's how you learn not to flinch. But she has literally faced no danger in her life ever, so she's not able to not flinch in the face of false, fake fox
Fake swords
danger.
that aren't even being aimed at her.
Exactly. Just big men running at her. She specifically talked about big men, and she has the scene with the guards running at her, and she flinches. In that scene, when the guard is running at her through the door, she flinches. She literally blinks, and I'm like, dude, you went to exposure therapy to avoid that, and you didn't even did that well. Like, you didn't. Oh my god! And these scenes, we don't even see her um do any other action scene where big men are running at her.
No.
Like,
She's always running at them.
in this episode, she's running at everyone, and just, whatever.
Unless the volcano was a metaphor for a big
The
man.
volcano. But
it was erupting all over her.
But she walks towards the volcano. Like, in one scene, she's walking towards the volcano, and then she stands still, looking at the ash coming at her. So it makes no sense. So what was that scene? Maybe we are yet to see the scene of
I don't
her
know. I hate her character so much.
fighting big men. Maybe some Uruks.
Okay. Rings of Power. Why does Galadriel never use her sword skills in Lord of the Rings? Because she doesn't have them.
Moving on.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings of Power, 6 characters who might be Sauron, ranked by possibility. Do we want to go through it, guys? Okay. Bronwyn. Because she's good at medicine.
Not the sweet medicine woman. What? I forgot that's what she was supposed to be.
And she likes elves.
She's a florist.
So she's probably Sauron.
Yep.
Gilgalad.
See, that's actually one that I wondered if they were going to decide to switch it around and say that it was him.
What?
Come on,
well, so I think it was when Adar was talking about how, like, oh, he was so focused on it and he did all this and this, that, and the other. Like, maybe he's gotten himself to be in Gilgalad. I don't know.
You could say that Gilgalad is a bad person or something like that, you know?
I mean,
he acts,
sending away
he's
the one
morally,
person who's trying to
hunt,
to
he's
hunt
morally ambiguous, but he's in no way he's not fucking.
There's more. There's more, guys. Well, Halbrand, yeah.
Oh, he's only 4 out of 6.
Only number 4.
The one that it is, yeah. Adar, no, he says he's not.
Yeah,
he says
in the episode before, after you wrote this, before you wrote this, and then he confirms it in this one. So you're stupid. Farazan. No, that's a real character.
The beer. Powerful beer. That makes him
because he's a close advisor to the Emperor of Numenor. Except that Farazan is a real character who wasn't Sauron. And then the last one is the Stranger because
what? Isn't he Gandalf?
It's because the fire wasn't hot when Nori touched the crater that he made. And we know that he's a Maiar, and Sauron is a Maiar.
But he's supposed to be Gandalf, right?
It's either Gandalf or Saruman.
Yeah.
Saruman. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Those are all the people that could be Sauron, guys.
Shamdalf.
We worked really hard on this.
I'm surprised they don't even have the Eminem character.
Yeah, they don't even have Eminem.
So
Bronwyn is on the list for some reason. It's
yeah, the hobo. Sauron is the hobo.
Move aside, Kate Blanchett. The Rings of Power fandom only has eyes for one Galadriel.
This article infuriated me.
No, because you guys were talking about how like amazing Kate Blanchett was in all of the facial acting that she was doing in contrast to this, and my first thought is, well, yeah, it's Kate freaking Blanchett. She's amazing. You can cast the best, the next best actress around, and you're not going to get anything quite as good as Kate Blanchett. So even if she was doing an amazing job, she wouldn't be hitting the levels of Kate Blanchett.
But the funny thing about Kate Blanchett is that Kate Blanchett was younger when she was casted for the first movie.
They also misspelled chills here.
And for the second one, she was the same age as Morphy Clark is now, and she did such a better job. And she already did the Elizabeth movie.
Yeah,
and that movie is insane.
Like
that movie is insane. Like her acting in that movie is in another level. But why don't you just cast an actress that is talented, that has that same age? Like, there's a lot of actresses in
I blame the writing more than I blame her.
In England,
honestly.
Like, with that amount of money, you could have, I don't know, convince any of the actresses from House of the Dragon, just pull them from that show and just bribe them.
Right.
It's insane that this is even an article.
Yeah.
Because it's not the fans that think this. So
I haven't heard anybody saying that they prefer her over Kate Blanchett.
The only people I've heard saying this are on Twitter. I haven't heard a single person say this.
I guess, but gosh.
But
I'm sorry. Even if you like her, no, she's not better than Kate Blanchett. No,
exactly.
But it's okay because Amazon is fixing Lord of the Rings again. The co-creators addressed a huge Lord of the Rings plot hole with Rings of Power because it was full of mistakes, and it's fixed now because we're better than Tolkien and Peter Jackson, guys. What did they fix? Why couldn't the eagles fly to Mordor? Because They would have been killed by the fell beasts that didn't exist in that age. At least the writers were honest, though. Someone asked them this question, and they said, "Oh, I wish we were that smart."
They just wanted
that's
dragons.
not what they were trying to address.
They just wanted dragons in the
not at all. No.
Yeah,
yep.
In the show or something resembling
for
dragons
for 0.2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And it's a good shot though. Like that shot does look incredible.
That was pretty. Yeah.
Like you can see that where they spent the money, and unfortunately, it wasn't on writers or actors.
The CGI guys are working extra hours. That's for sure.
They ran out when it came to the warg, but the rest of it. You know.
Oh gosh!
I mean, the war. The thing about the war is that the design was horrific. It was ridiculous.
To me, it's less the quality of the CGI and more the design of the CGI.
But it was funny. It was even comedic. It looked comedic. You know, like they were having a laugh probably in the.
He was like bug-eyed, cross-eyed.
Yeah.
So the most emblematic sequence of the Rings of Power is a tribute to J.R.R. Tolkien. What scene do you think it's referring to? The opening credits, the weird stuff with sand.
Sand stuff.
It's a tribute to Tolkien because one time Tolkien said that the world of I love that they say the world of Rings of Power instead of Middle Earth or you know the Lord of the Rings. But apparently Middle Earth was born from a melody. And so the opening credits is a tribute to Tolkien because it's sound waves making sand into different shapes.
Okay.
That intro is so lame.
It's so
boring.
dumb.
It's so boring. Like I had to fast forward through like crazy every time, like smashing.
It's a shame because the music is actually good.
The music is carrying the show. The music
I forgot his last name. It's not Howard Stern.
No, but
what's his name? The composer's a good composer.
Howard Shore.
Howard Shore, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, he's good.
He's fantastic. He's done some great stuff.
The music
theme
is
actually
the whole
good.
show.
I found myself humming it the other day. I was like, "Oh, what have I done?"
The only thing I can remember is the one in the trailer that is "Speak Your Truth." You already know.
Yeah, that was not him.
Haunts my dreams.
I still can't look at this orc and not see a Karen with like the bob haircut, you know? Far away.
Oh, you want to start talking about Karens? We can start talking about Andor.
About what?
Andor.
Oh yeah.
No,
okay.
Andor.
Amazon's Rings of Power isn't making as big of a splash on HBO's House of the Dragon, and it shows the potential risks of dueling big budget fantasy shows. This is actually a semi-good take because everyone's loving House of the Dragon, and people are actually talking about it, and it's getting much better ratings. But they're saying, the problem is you have two shows going at the same time. That's not the problem. We can like two things at once. The problem is one is garbage and the other isn't. But it's kind of a good take. And Amazon or Yahoo had another good take. An Amazon analyst said that he fell asleep when he was watching the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power show. And it made him worried that the $1 billion project may be a bust.
Yeah, so this isn't some nobody. This is an Amazon analyst, and he was talking to investors about the show, and he says, "Yeah, I'm worried because it's boring as hell."
And that's the thing for me is like I don't hate this as much as a lot of you guys do, and I think like we end up pulling apart every little bit and piece of the ridiculousness that happens in there. But if you're not hating the majority of it, a lot of those will skate by you and it'll be totally fine. But there's no way this is anywhere close to being worth that $1 billion. Like it is nowhere near as good as the original movies. It's like that's the thing. I don't even hate it, and I'm like, you're right. Putting $1 billion into this project is not going to work out for you. I don't think this is going to make it past another season at most.
And my initial attitude was, now this looks like it could be a decent fantasy show, but it doesn't look like Tolkien. But even now, looking at it, even if you divorce yourself from all of the lore that's being flushed down the toilet, it's still a bad show.
Yeah. And it's
to
over.
me, I
Like,
think it's a lot of that writing and the editing. It's just choppy and weird, and it's not even necessarily it's just the way that they decide to present the order of sequences and the order of the way things fit together. It's often so messy. Carlos has got it right there in the chat. Big scale, medium scale. If the writing is mediocre and the dialogue is boring, it matters not. It will flop.
Yeah,
you got to watch the Angry Mex's video on the editing. It's really good.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
The cuts are just silly.
I agree with the Amazon analysis. I fell asleep. I've been falling asleep every time I edit through this. To every episode,
because you have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah,
it's
I watch it, and
I hate my life right now.
I love it, but I hate it because it's funny when it's really, really bad, but it's so boring when nothing happens and the Hardfoots are just walking around and singing some pretty mediocre songs.
Better than half of the stuff that's been on there. At least when the Hardfoots are walking around, you're like, hey, New Zealand's beautiful. Like, hey, this is some cool sweeping shots. A little bit more like the.
Yeah, I know they're barely even using the landscape of New Zealand in the show.
Yeah,
if they're not going to be able to do it for season 2 because they had to move to England.
If you mute the show, most of the time is like bearable.
Yeah,
you put
a lot of bizarre cuts and things like that.
Yeah,
but,
you put some music, background music. Do your, I don't know, your chores, or go along with your day, but you put it like background music and background shots of pretty how beautiful New Zealand is.
yeah.
And this last one on Tolkien is I thought perfectly worded. Tolkien's Middle Earth has been colonized by a media giant and its woke gremlins. Because it's perfect because it's using the terms and the words that they like to use. Like colonizing is bad, but it literally is. That is exactly what they are doing to Tolkien's work.
Yep.
They're coming in with their own ideas, pushing it aside and saying, no, you have to conform to me. That's colonization.
Yep.
So, there are a bunch of other bad takes. I'm thinking maybe we should save some of these for next week. And I just won't look at my phone so we don't have so many.
Anything you want to try to burn through? I know we are running long, but...
Okay, we can do it. We'll do it quick. Okay. The Boys means Breaking Bad's next spin-off idea is too good to ignore. Speculation mounts over the next potential Breaking Bad spin-off because Better Call Saul ended, and we want to do a Gus Fring prequel.
No.
Guys, Vince Gilligan has already said he's done with the Breaking Bad universe.
Then please leave it be because Vince
no
is the
one is
reason.
speculating about sequels or prequels because it's over. Also, if you watched Better Call Saul, it was also a Gus Fring prequel.
Yes.
We got a lot of good Gus Fring. I haven't caught up
stupid.
on Better Call Saul, but we got a lot of his backstory in Breaking Bad.
The majority of his story.
Yeah.
Also, the only reason why Better Call Saul worked out so well is because he was a more likable protagonist than Walter White was.
And it's not
this is the opposite.
Gus Fring. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. She-Hulk finally explains why Daredevil is coming, and it's awesome.
Oh no!
First, but She-Hulk hasn't explained why Daredevil is coming.
At all.
This is speculation, guys.
I was going to say, what
they're
do they
saying,
think they're saying?
It could be awesome because she's going to make him famous. That's literally it.
Oh,
His return could make Matt Murdock famous because he's going to represent her as her lawyer.
For what at this point, though? I mean,
I don't know. And awesome is not the word I would use, but it goes hand in hand with this one.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you gotta get out of here, Mexa?
No. I was gonna say,
okay.
I was gonna make like a wild assumption of what's going to happen with how is he going to represent her, or for what reason?
Yeah,
and it's probably going to have to do with the intelligentsia side and the
Yeah,
whole
he's
she's
good.
probably either making a cease and desist, or she's going to do a whole deal about her blood and her boyfriend or whatever, the guy who goes to her.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to can talk about later,
Once we're done with
further.
these, we'll talk about some
When
of
we are done with this.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it goes
Interesting.
hand in hand with this article from the Mary Sue. Men predictably miss the point of She-Hulk making us wait for Daredevil. And predictably, a feminist misunderstands that men don't want to see Daredevil in She-Hulk.
Good point.
We don't care. I would prefer it if he never shows up.
Yep.
What was her argument with this? What was
Well, the whole point is that it's not about him, right? It's about her. He's just a side character in the show, right? So,
okay. Yeah. So
that scene is just.
Although they've definitely undercut that. Just remember, this is who this actually is. They definitely, like, literally in that are undercutting her point there. But whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hate She-Hulk so much; it's garbage. Thor: Love and Thunder deleted scene hints at Thor's new weapon. There was a deleted scene from Love and Thunder where his third weapon. This is stupid. So he has Mjolnir, and he has Stormbreaker, and then in the movie he got the Zeus's lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt.
But there's a deleted scene where there's a fourth weapon. Do you know what the fourth weapon is? Zeus's lightning bolt.
I did watch that clip.
The deleted scene just showed it's just him showing Thor how it works.
How to use, yeah.
It's not a new weapon. It was in the movie. I hate this.
Yep.
Sam Wilson truly becomes Captain America with one line. In the new premiere for Marvel Comics Captain America Symbol of Truth, Sam Wilson reaches a major milestone now that he wields his own shield, because he says a line, "You can stop calling me Sam Wilson. I'm Captain America, and I can do this all dang day." I'm not gonna.
I will. I didn't mind the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. I get your complaints about it, and I do see some of that, but I'm down for him to be Captain America. But why does that line make him suddenly Captain America?
They tried it twice in the comics to turn him into Captain America, and it was one of the least performing comics of all time. They had to cancel it and go give the shield back to real Captain America, and now they're trying it for a third time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I actually really do like Anthony Mackie, and I think
he's a good actor.
Yeah,
and he was more interesting as the Falcon. Is Marvel becoming a horror franchise? Because they made that movie Werewolf by Night, which is a horror movie. I would like to answer the question though. Yes, it is becoming a horror franchise, but not because of Werewolf by Night.
I think they misspelled horrible.
I'm terrified every time I see a new Marvel trailer. That's for sure. Andor is making the same mistake as the Book of Boba Fett. Andor is making a different type of Star Wars series, but it's already following the same tired, aimless formula the previous Disney Plus shows. What's the mistake? It's that it's too slow. It's going for a slow burn, which is not the complaint that anyone had about the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett was a discombobulated mess of storytelling.
Yeah. Whereas Andor, it's taking its time, but also guess what? The difference between Book of Boba Fett and Andor is Andor has time to take its time. It has at least 12 episodes.
It's 12 episodes. It's too long. That's too much.
No, that's fine. That's perfect. I love it. Book of Boba Fett was, 6 episodes? And it was, and 2 of them weren't even with Boba Fett at all.
Yeah.
Boba Fett could not take time, and it was just discombobulated mess. Andor can take a little bit more time than that.
But you know what's funny is Andor is also fixing 3 of the biggest problems that we had with Star Wars TV shows.
Yeah, because it's actually good.
It's written by the same guys.
Wow.
So it's fixing. It's not on Tatooine. Sure, that's a plus. It doesn't have stormtroopers and Imperials, and it's setting aside
Not
the Star
yet.
Wars connections and the fan service, unless you've seen Episode 4. But
Which,
again,
those are even
these
just
are
Easter
not
eggs. They're
the
not
big
even real
complaints that we
connections.
had with the Star Wars TV shows.
Yeah.
They're not the big complaints. They are complaints that you can tack on to the other big complaints because you're like, okay, yeah, but.
And we finally made it through all the bad takes. And so I ended off with a meme so that we can laugh again. Here we go. Babylon B. Amazon blows entire $1 billion budget of Rings of Power on making it look like a woman can hold a sword.
Lol. Yeah.
And it still didn't look convincing.
Yeah.
That was it. That was all the bad takes, guys. It was a long day. It's been a long episode.
We've been talking for a long time.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about She-Hulk or Andor? We'll do it fast. We'll keep it simple. You wanted to talk about the Karen in Andor, the leader, the rebel leader, right?
Yeah. No, the rebel leader actually was the decent character. I didn't feel like I meant the Imperial
the Imperial officer was trying to climb the ranks.
Right.
She's
She's
so
awful.
annoying. She's so annoying.
I didn't read that as her actually trying to climb ranks, though. I think that was her. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean,
It
not
literally
even.
says.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Well, they tell her to stop trying to climb ranks.
Yeah.
But she is saying, "Hey, this is."
She said in an interview that that's what her character is trying to do, though.
Yeah.
She said, "My character is surrounded by ignorant men, and so she's just trying to climb the ranks because they're stupid, and all men are stupid."
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm avoiding that one because I really enjoyed the show, and this episode was another good episode. Like I thought it was well put together.
Yeah,
even
I liked
her
it.
little story arc didn't bother me. That sure even if she is trying to climb the ladder, like sure, go ahead, try to climb the ladder. Like that's an interesting story to dive into. Like sure.
Yeah,
I just think it's baffling that if you have 3 shows on your slate, right? You're gonna make a show about Boba Fett that everyone loves. You're gonna make a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi, who everyone loves, and you're going to make a show about some guy who dies that Disney made up, and his name is Andor. And apparently Disney poured all of their resources into the one that no one cares about because it's the only one that's decent.
I think what it is they allowed the creators to have their own creative freedom as opposed to trying to be like, ooh, we have to really like mess with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett because people care about that, so we need to do it right, and so they just mess it up.
I mean, you can feel the influence where it's where it lies, right? Where with this character of the Karen. No, I mean, I didn't feel like she was trying to raise through the ranks. She was trying to, I don't know, she was really naggy about her job, just like the guy in the first 3 episodes, and he was just so insistent on doing that job, and that's why I said that they both felt like Karens to me. But the type of Karen that you find in a job environment,
rather than a customer or anything.
It's going to talk with her supervisor, to say how everyone else is doing a bad job but her, and she's trying
and
to
arguably I don't know, I still am with her on the fact that like she probably could be involved in this because there is a missing piece that was missing from her department. So like I think it's
she's
fine
trying
for her to be involved. I don't know. So far I'm not actually picking up on
cover
what
her trails probably, to make up for her mistakes.
Make up for her
I mean,
mistake or make
I
up
like
for a mistake
the
that happened in her
show. I
department.
really like, I mean, it's probably the best show that besides House of the Dragon, but House of the Dragon is such in
Very
another
different,
in another different level.
It's the best thing that Disney Star Wars has done.
Definitely.
True.
First
season
I like the
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
First
was
season Mandalorian was in the same level probably as Andor. I will say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I really liked The Mandalorian. Both seasons. Season 1 was better, but even then, both seasons of The Mandalorian, there was a lot of fan service, a lot of nodding, a lot of tie-ins and stuff like that.
That bothered me a lot.
And yeah, it was nice, but it was a little bit too much. And this one, I really feel like
the fan service
can be completely
in episode 4
separate from Star Wars, and it's still a really good show. But
there was huge fan service in episode 4 but it worked.
Yeah,
it made the story better, and Stellan Skarsgård by far is stealing the show. The scene where he's like he gets all dressed up
putting
and
on his rings and everything,
tired. He's like, I don't want to do this, and he starts making faces in front of the mirror.
Yeah,
I was just like,
working himself.
Holy crap!
Into
and then the scene that he has with Mon Mothma, where he's it's so subtle, and then and the conversation. That's one of my like favorite scenes in Star Wars so far. I was like, this was good.
Skarsgård scenes are the best. The scene in the beginning didn't feel like forced. Like it feels like something natural, like a spy and
you felt his pain.
Yeah.
You're like, he's like, I have to show up to work today and pretend to like the Empire.
To be honest, I was a little bit worried that they were going to give Skarsgård like a drag scene, like he's putting on the.
I did wonder. There was a piece of me for a second.
The rings and
the hair,
this robe and and his hair, and I was like, oh my god, they're doing. But they didn't go there.
Lambs, right?
They didn't go there, and I'm happy about it. I'm really happy about it.
Yeah.
The whole episode was really good, except for the weird shots with this guy going back to his mother's house. Like apparently, the villain from the first episodes. Well, he probably got fired from his job, so he's back to living with his mother apparently. So his mother just slaps him and then hugs him. So it felt kind of weird. Felt kind of lackluster,
But his character is interesting. I don't know what he's going to do next.
And what I appreciate about that is it is a relatively subtle, communication of she's mad at him but glad that he's home. So like you left, how dare you?
It was,
but I'm glad you're.
Show,
so like it was
tell.
It was show don't tell.
They
actually did it well. Showed. They showed and not told effectively.
And you're absolutely right, Mexico. This show has been, there's so many examples of show don't tell that all these other shows we've been watching are just ham-fisted explanations, just telling you exactly what's going on, several times over. But this one is so subtle and it's so good. Like with the first 3 episodes, there was that one scene where the boyfriend of what's her name on the planet or whatever turns him in, right? And you didn't have to say anything. He looks at them at the bar and then he turns around and there's that big sign and you're like, oh, he's gonna turn him in. And then it cuts.
You knew it was happening.
And it cuts to the Imperial guys and they have his name on there, or his hologram on there. And then it shows in the background that, the lady from the brothel walks in. You're like, oh, that's how they're going to identify him. And they didn't have to say anything. They just showed that sequence and you knew what happened.
Yeah.
And
it's good storytelling.
Really well done.
My problem with the first 3 episodes is just how many shots of people walking.
Oh, yeah, sure. Episode 2 is completely unnecessary. You can just watch 1 and 3.
Walking. Yeah.
But I'm happy to do that. Like I am happy to sit through some little odd things like that honestly don't even bug me. But like I get the complaint. I don't have a defense against it. But I don't mind doing that as long as the rest of the writing and the rest of the show.
The opening scene though, he's walking for like 10 minutes.
And he walked for
a lot of walking
through the same place.
You're getting into.
But
the feel
in the
of
third
it,
episode, the third episode was really good. Like there was not any walking. Like maybe they changed directors or something, but they forgot about the walking, and they have the only scene that they have walking was for introducing the character of Skarsgård, giving a little bit of context within the relationship with Sisi or beautiful Latina queen from the show.
Oh, she's attractive,
but she's gone, right? We are never going to see her again. You know,
I don't think so.
I hope we see her
maybe
again.
towards the end.
I
she
hope
gets
we see her
kidnapped,
again, but
yeah,
I'd like to see her again. I was when they introduced in this episode the leader, the lady, I can't remember her name, when Skarsgård is arguing with her and she's like, I don't want to do this, and it convinces her. I was really afraid I wasn't going to like her character because I thought it was going to be like, oh, I'm not going to take orders from a man, but her character was actually really well done.
Yeah, the senator or the
senator? No, the leader of the rebel group, the
little group.
Girl,
I really like her character. You know,
but you can see why she was upset, and then she brings him to the camp, and then she has to argue against herself. And she has to give the same arguments that Skarsgård was giving her, and you can tell that she doesn't believe it.
Yeah,
but she has to say it. I was like, this is brilliant. This is good stuff.
Here is a character who is full of piss and vinegar, but is still likable.
Yeah,
there you go.
This is a strong, angry woman, but that is still likable and well written, and it's working.
I like some piss. It's good.
And that's why it becomes so much more enjoyable, you know?
Yeah.
Because after watching hours and hours of Galadriel, it's just like every other female, strong female character.
That's why I saw her come on. I was like, oh no, it's a Galadriel all over again. And I was like, her character's not what?
No.
That's the thing.
It's good.
Is people want, apparently they're thinking that people want these strong female characters, and there are a ton of people that probably do, but you can do it right, like in Andor, or you can do it wrong, like in Rings of Power.
I mean, I want them. I want them if they are written like this person in Andor. If they are really written, more. I don't care if they are woman, man, in between. I don't care if they are greatly written,
vinegar or honey and whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, sure, but just write them well.
The director is the guy that did the Bourne movies.
Oh,
which is why I'm liking a lot of the visuals, and the storytelling is like it's wordless.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing,
and the dialogue is so natural too. Like it just it flows. It makes sense. It's really good.
I don't know, the final scene of the episode, I laughed so hard when he was like, "Can I just eat my food, guys?" It's like, oh yeah, you can do that, and then do the thing that we were saying.
Yeah. And Martina mentions, strong doesn't mean constantly angry and arrogant. And actually, this lady is pretty angry and a little arrogant. But again, she does it well. It's written so much better.
Yeah.
You're right, though, that strong doesn't mean constantly angry.
Arrogance feels from the heart. She's passionate about what she's doing.
But you're on her side, too, because because at first you're like, oh, she's just going to be complaining. And then she shows up and everyone is pissed. And you're like, oh, well, that's why she was mad. And now she has, you understand her.
Yeah.
And you should be able to get that with Galadriel. Like, Galadriel should have a similar level of, like, we know how important this is. We get, like, she's right. But you don't end up liking her. I don't know.
But I'm excied for a heist. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah. I'm worried, though, because we know we've talked about before, the showrunners have said that this is all, a commentary on Trump and his empire and stuff like that, and I'm hoping for it to crash.
I'm hoping
so far it's good.
I'm hoping that's the case of just a rogue actor who is just trying to get publicity because
I get that there are stupid things that Trump did. I'd very much stay out of politics. I really just am not willing to put in the energy and effort. And I get that there are dumb and frustrating things that he did that people might associate with, oh, this is all that Trump is and this is all that Trump does. And they're like, oh, we're making a commentary against fascism. And they say, oh, Trump is a fascist. And okay, you can make commentary against fascism.
Star Wars was already a commentary on fascism.
Absolutely.
You get it.
And so you can still do that. And maybe this one person was just like, oh yeah, to me, I see that as an attack against Trumpism. And it's like, well, yeah, there was some of this problem there, but really it's just so much broader than.
Yeah, but it's not something you want to say in an interview when you're advertising for your show, because you're going to piss off half of America, and people who aren't American don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is and what gives me a little bit of hope, to your point of maybe it's just a rogue actor or them recognizing you don't want to just piss off half of your potential audience, is the fact that at least from what I understand, It's been this one time that they've said that. They haven't like been like, oh, this is, you know, the whole showrunners haven't all been jumping on and saying,
no, like I haven't really seen it in the show.
Yeah,
and I hope it doesn't creep in.
I just hope that they don't go full cliche and they start showing people
That's
with
the thing, like,
with the hand and
it
showing
go downhill
not subtle
in an
allegories.
instant. This show could
It can
completely fall
go.
apart.
It's what I'm feeling, like it could go down.
I'm walking on pins and needles every time I watch this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
just
are they
give
gonna screw it up?
just give that officer Karen
Yeah.
a little more of screen time than the actual protagonist like Andor, and start making her the protagonist and start rising her as the protagonist, just like they did with Kenobi, the Kenobi show.
Gosh.
And the
she's going to rise in the ranks and then find out that the Imperials are evil, and then join the rebellion, and she's going to be the hero of the show. Yeah, I could see them doing something stupid like that.
I hope not, but yeah, we'll see.
It feels like that's what they're doing for the other guy though, who lost his job. It seems like that might be his arc. It's either that or he's going to go hard the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again, I think that's possibly what they're thinking is their like Trump commentary. This like guy just going off or something like that.
Right,
but
right.
I don't know.
Some,
like he can just be a guy going off, you know. And it's like that's not really Trump, but whatever. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm cautiously optimistic. Star Wars has burned me before, with the previous two shows, and it was left very disappointed. So I'm surprised that it's not terrible, and I hope that it doesn't crash and burn. So,
and I would say it's downright
Star Wars.
It's straight up good to me at this point. And like, again, I'm just where you guys are, just shifted a little bit more towards the positive. Where it's like those other ones that were super disappointing, a mess. But I love it. It's Star Wars. I'm the Star Wars guy. Mexa, you don't know that. That's why I was brought on, was to be the Star Wars guy. So it's like, yeah, I'm all for it. Let's get it. Even those terrible ones.
Yeah.
Can't bring myself to watch them. I can't defend them at all. They are a mess. But whatever.
I'm enjoying
it's fun.
it too.
It's Star Wars. And this one, it's like, it's actually good. And so I'm loving it. I'm so excited that it's good.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next episode, to be honest.
Yep, same.
the raving reviews for Andor. I'm surprised it's not terrible.
Yeah, the previous shows have lowered the bar.
Yeah, we are in that point in life. You know, the bar is so low that we are just happy that this show is not just Rings of Power, She-Hulk levels of name it. You name it.
I think that this episode in particular actually got me liking the main character though, because in the first 3 episodes he's kind of like he's not what's interesting. He's kind of unlikable because he's putting everyone in danger. And in this one, he started showing a little bit of personality, and I liked him a lot more.
Yeah. He's a tough guy, you know.
Yeah. It was that last line. Honestly, it was that. Can I just eat my food? And I was like, okay, I like Andor now.
Yeah. I've been good with him because he's done a lot of that smaller, quieter acting. Like he's not the focus of what's going on right now yet. He's the one we're kind of following, but there's other things happening around and to him. Again, it's a little bit more of your classic hero of a thousand faces sort of thing, where it's like the adventure will be thrust upon him in this arc of it, you know. So, and it's being thrust upon him at this point. So we're still getting a chance to just start to see him doing some his character doing some acting for himself, you know.
Okay. So. We've been going for 3 hours. If anyone needs to leave, they can. Or we can talk about She-Hulk, which will be real quick because nothing happened.
Yeah,
it was an episode
just rip the bandage off.
Actually, I liked this episode. It was cohesive.
The first scene was the first time I was like that it was edited well.
Yeah,
with the montage of her dating, I was like, that was competently shot and edited, and because it was wordless and she wasn't talking. And I was like, this is okay storytelling. And then it got to the therapy, and I was just like,
it was a decent montage, right? It was Joey Function made it work, you know.
Honestly, I felt like the entire episode was at least well edited. Everything flowed together. They set up something that had that they were playing with in the beginning, and they came back to it in the end. There was a middle plot that related to it, and those plots all tied in with the overall arc of the mess of a show that they've had up until now. Like, I actually enjoyed a lot of my time at the therapy place because she is a little bit arrogant and like, oh, this is all mamby-pamby, whatever, and then like it actually works for her and helps her, and she works through it, and like this is everything that I think the She-Hulk show should have been. Because if this is a show that's not for someone like you or for someone like me, I can still enjoy a show like that if it's done well like this. So I was able to look at this episode and be like, this episode was what She-Hulk should have been from the get.
Yeah,
it wasn't perfect. It wasn't amazing. There is some commentary. There is some everything else going on that other people might want to see in there, but it was competently made.
Mm-hmm.
And
the line that got me though is when they're like, "Look, we don't want to just be friends with She-Hulk. We want to get to know the real Jen." And I was like, "No, trust me, you don't. Like, you don't want to get to know Jen."
That's you bringing in your baggage from the rest of the show, which I also can't argue with you. But like, if you could dissociate this from the rest of the show,
yeah, no, it was definitely much better made.
I actually legitimately laughed at a lot of these jokes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The whole therapy scene was very well done. There were several laughs in there.
I actually did do some nice in college.
Yeah. I thought it was good. Did anything happen that moved along the plot? No, absolutely not.
But that's the thing, is it did because the weird dude from the wedding ended up, she's dating him, and he tricks her and gets.
Do you know how long that scene was, though, Jared? That was a 30-second scene.
That was
and that's the only thing that happened.
But again, for a show like this, that's fine. If you could have this show had a self-contained story that was going on with her doing her stuff, and it had just a small little thing that tied in with the overarching story. Yeah. That's what you do with a show. Is you have each episode, especially a like week to week lawyer type show. Not that there was any lawyering going on, but like this kind of a sitcom-y show, you have the episode that it's just its own thing, but there's going to be one little thing that ties in with the overarching story. That's exactly what the show should be. Yeah.
The only problem is that was the last episode too.
Yeah.
The last episode was the standalone wedding episode. But
except the last episode, because it was the standalone wedding episode, and it was all garbage. It was just weird. And they made a joke about like, it's inconvenient in life too. And like, okay, fine, sure. That was almost funny.
Yeah,
but then
so sad. The best that Disney can muster.
Well,
it's not bad.
This episode also had the first fourth wall breaking joke that I actually thought was funny too, where they said, "Oh, please tell me he was on a previously on thing," and then
that was the first time that it made sense.
That was funny. I liked that. That was the first and only fourth wall breaking joke that made sense.
Because I had no idea who it was.
I mean, I guess that it was probably from the guys that assaulted her. That
they previously
get her blood.
It is her,
but I was not sure who he was. The show threw me off with all the shots of her walking in a towel and with she's so gnarly. She's so gnarly.
She's fine. I don't have a problem with her. She's pretty
but
enough.
No,
like,
but they are obsessed. I mean, what I mean is that they are obsessed with how tiny and how skinny she is. There are so many shots of her.
They keep body shaming her.
Of the
like the
bones in her chest, the collarbone area, and how tiny she is, and I was like, okay, I mean, I was something weird, and then the Prius, the whole thing about the Prius product placement.
That was dumb.
I was like,
how many times did they say a Prius? I don't
Prius
remember.
Like 4 times,
3 or 4
times in 1 minute. But I mean, if you, I don't mind the Prius. I like the car. But if you want to show off the Prius, don't let it get smashed by a bull guy, by a bull. The design of the bull, man, it was funny. The
Prius Prime, the perfect car to not be able to drive if the hood gets dented.
I did like the I'm a man bull, not mechanical bull. Oh, how long did you wait for that? How long were you waiting for that one?
It didn't make any sense. I did not get that joke at all.
Because he was having to push it into the garage, so he was having to be mechanical.
He was trying to be,
but that was also the point. Was they were like, that didn't really make sense as a joke, dude. Like you were really reaching for that one, you know?
Yeah. But like you said, this is the first show that they actually show some jokes.
Yeah.
And they actually, even if they don't land, at least there are jokes, you know, you can identify the funny. In other episodes, they were just three jokes in the whole episode, and they were not funny at all. They were really bad, and most of the time the jokes were emasculating a man, or saying a man bad, or a man doing bad things to women and stuff like that. And it was so
and again,
painful.
as the person. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, as the person who's generally more positive, I've had some fun with some of the previous stuff. It's been a mess, but there's been some stuff that I've been able to enjoy there. And then this one is just that next step of like, it was at least good. Like, not amazing. I'm not gonna go.
But you know
this
why
episode made me
checked out.
Chuckle.
Yeah,
I didn't laugh. It was like, that was about it.
Exactly. But you know why it's more enjoyable than the previous ones? Because we don't see a B story. It's just Jen, you know, there's no B story.
We didn't have to see any of the other
I hate the other stories from the terrible lawyering. They are so bad. They clearly don't know. They clearly don't know what they are doing.
No, they don't.
No,
I don't mind that, honestly. The more that I've watched it, as I've watched a couple of the episodes back with my wife, like it's not deep and really moving, but like I think it's actually probably as good as just about any other lawyer show that's been out there with a lot of this stuff. Like,
but
I mean, the specifics of the law. I mean, the specifics of the law. The scenes are, you know, cheesy lawyer bits, you know, that they do in the show. But the actual law and the actual
law is bad. It's
so
not, it's often the opposite of how it would be handled in real life. But I think my biggest problem is
sometimes illegal.
Is how on earth
sometimes it's illegal.
How on earth does this show fit in with the MCU? Like there are all these like superheroes that are just like the Mr.
Invincible.
There are so many people in the show and superheroes that have just been around forever, I guess, that are just put in there for one-off jokes that just and the tone is just it doesn't make sense.
That issue with the people with powers are just kind of around is something that has got me really scratching my head, because I'm like, wait a second, unless you're going to start saying that this is the way you're just kind of laying mutants in there or something, but like every other superhero that's been, or every other superpowered being has been connected with the Avengers stuff, and we haven't had a whole lot of other indications that there are other super beings out there. Besides,
they have the X-Men now. Why have they not done it yet?
I'm totally fine with taking their time.
They are dealing with some issues with the copyright. They're the IP, the intellectual property.
I think there were probably some existing deals that delayed them as well. But honestly, like again, I'm fine with them taking their time and at least theoretically trying to take their time to do it right. Whether or not they succeed at doing it right,
but that's how they could explain all of these people. They're mutants.
They could.
Well, that's why Namor is supposed to be important. In the that was Namor was supposed to be important because he's the first mutant. You know, he's the son of an Atlantean and a woman. So he's the first mutant.
He's not Atlantean in this.
Yeah, I know, but
he's Mayan or something, right? Do you feel represented because they made him Mexican?
Dude, I went on a full rant in Twitter about how we won, guys. We had finally our first Mayan, Aztec, generic, you know, Mexican
Quetzalcoatl
demigod.
His name should be Quetzalcoatl. That would be a good name, right?
Quetzalcoatl, but with Tlaloc, you know, because they are supposed to be from the Tlalocan. They just have huge mess. And but that was everyone was expecting from Namor, you know, for him to be the first mutant that they introduced to the MCU, but he's now Mexican demigod, generic Mexican demigod.
I don't know what they're doing.
We'll see.
I don't really care either.
Yeah,
so.
but I agree. This was probably the best She-Hulk episode.
Yeah, which isn't saying much. It really is not.
Yeah,
It's a low bar. It's such a.
It's not a compliment.
It was fine.
It was the best of the worst. Literally.
I didn't actively hate this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I went from not minding the other ones too much to actually kind of like this one. So
and it was not boring. It was not that boring.
Mark's already gone. So that's why I'm not getting a bag of rocks right now.
Oh yeah.
They were not. The scenes didn't drag as much.
Mm-hmm. Again, it was competently edited. It was put together well. Like
yeah.
The CGI didn't suck as much because they didn't show her moving. As She-Hulk that much.
The CGI hasn't bothered me too much, but it hasn't been amazing. It's just been kind of like okay.
But in the scene of the wedding, my God, it
was bad.
It was really bad.
I don't even mind
inconsistent.
Yeah. I don't even mind like the bad CGI action. It's just every time she talks as She-Hulk, her face doesn't move, and it's so cringy.
Yeah, I think the ones that bother me the most is when she's sitting in her office.
True.
The rest of them I don't really mind as much, but when she's sitting in her office.
The office and the walking is really weird. Yeah.
I don't even mind the walking in the office. It's the sitting in her and talking in her office that gets.
And when she tries to smile as She-Hulk too.
The smile is pretty cringy. I think if you just freeze it and take any still, it's generally okay. But when she's moving, it's weird, uncanny valley.
Yeah, have a good night, Jacob. We're wrapping things up here.
It's been a long stream.
We could briefly talk about House of the Dragon, or we could just end the stream and then go watch the new episode. Because
I was gonna say I need to go watch it, but it's been good. I'm not loving the new Rhaenyra actress.
No,
but it's because I liked the old one so much better.
The new Alicent is fantastic.
Yeah, the new Alicent, I was like, did they actually get a new actress? It took me a second.
I think for the most part, they handled the recast, which is insane to do. That's a crazy thing to just recast halfway through. But I think they handled it pretty well.
Yeah.
Except the one thing that I felt was missing with the time jump is they really need to explain how Kristen Cole is not like in jail, right? Which there are plenty of ways to explain it. But they needed, I needed to hear how they were going to explain it. Right?
Yeah, I picked it up very much as a like, because Queen Alicent was like,
and
I'm going to be using you, and that's how he's now her.
And my headcanon is when during the wedding scene when he beats up the
Joffrey,
the Knight of Kisses.
Yeah.
There is a very brief scene where it shows the other guy draw a knife. And so I'm like, you could easily say, hey, he saw there was a disturbance and he took out a threat. But I just wanted to hear any explanation.
Whatever it was that they said as to why Alicent's like, we're not going to kill him. He's going to be my guard now. Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying the politics. It's really, really well done. I'm definitely on Team Green. Except that the problem is their side is definitely right, but Matt Smith is on the other side, and he's so good. Anything like I want Daemon Targaryen to win, but Alicent is clearly in the right here. Rhaenyra is an awful person and is going to be a terrible leader.
She'd been okay until this episode now, where I'm seeing her and I'm like, yeah, okay, you've leaned into all the worst parts of who you were and could be, because up until then she had flirted with not necessarily being somebody who could be a great leader, and then just it went all downhill, and she's obviously just gone off the rails. But
but it's really good. Like I'm looking forward to every Sunday because I get to stream and then watch House of the Dragon, and it's like, it's like my reward for getting through Rings of Power, because I get to watch something remotely decent.
Yep. Such is life. Wow.
Yeah.
Great stream. Had fun disagreeing with all your
it's been a blast having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are
Thank you.
you're welcome back if you wanna come back on the show anytime. Just let me know.
Anytime. Yeah. Let's see how bad the next episodes are of
just DM me
the
on Twitter if
shows.
you want to jump back on. I'm limited to 6 guests, or including
6
myself,
people, yeah.
because I'm paying for the cheap version, because up until now I wasn't making money off of YouTube. But yeah, just give me a heads up if you want to come back on the show, and I'll see if there's a slot, which there usually is. Because
Sure, mate. That'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, and seriously, like, everyone go subscribe, because your content is fantastic. So
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be of much help.
Dude, you're gonna get monetized real fast. I've been watching your subscribers go up by like 50 every day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. I will do my best to keep it going, and I hope that's true. I hope.
If not, we'll help you get there. I'll keep plugging you. So
thank you.
For sure.
Yeah,
it's been a blast.
I really need it. It's been a blast too. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
nice.
All right.
If you could mail me, could you send me a torta ahogada in the mail, please? That'd be great. I miss the food so much.
The food is the best thing in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only way I'm here.
I don't miss the cartel. I was in Guadalajara when they held the city hostage because the government came in and arrested one of their leaders, and they started blowing up buses all over the city. It was scary.
It was
but
nasty. Yeah. There's a lot of crazy stories. We can talk about that in another.
No, I love Mexico though.
Yeah, hey, it has its good things, but yeah, nice meeting you all, and I hope I can see you in the next edition.
Yeah, yeah. You anytime. Sure. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna call it there. Almost 3.5 hour stream. It might be the longest one. I don't know.
Yep.
But we'll see you guys next week. I've got to go edit a bunch of Rings of Power memes.
Me
Good
too,
luck.
This episode was a bonus because I was like, it was just accumulated memes from like the comments on the videos and things I'd thought up, and I was like, I don't even want to get into this episode. It's gonna take so long to edit these stupid fight scenes.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks everyone in the chat.
Peace out.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Thank you.